play the death.
Warning. This stream is for entertainment purposes. The opinions expressed by the participants might be exaggerated for comedic effect. Harsh language can be used. Thought-provoking or controversial topics may be discussed.
All right, that's enough. Oh wait, man, everything's going a wire today. There you go. Hello and welcome. Rough start. Technology didn't want to play with me. Hello, Phil. It's been a
Hi.
while since we
How's it going?
sat down for toys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys said that sound like Bear. It is Bear.
It's
that
Bear.
reads it. Yeah. Bear
He's one of the great voices of our age.
Yeah.
Frankly, I could listen to him say anything. I think.
Yeah, he did this video for me. The reading. I did the video, the image.
Good dude.
I did the reading. Yeah. So yeah, hello everybody. Welcome to this Tear of Your Skin. I guess I didn't put in the title. I should put in the title right now, right? So people know what they're watching. It's called Tear of Your Skin. There you go. I'm gonna update the title.
I don't know what's going on my stream, but hopefully it's working. We'll see. We'll see what I'm doing. It's exciting.
Yep. So
good. Thank you, Big Bad.
You made a stream on Rumble the other day that I quite like, where you were playing Amarillo and you're discussing some idea, and I thought it was you brought some very interesting point. You were talking about your interest in game mechanics and the board game aspects of role playing and the fun question, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting because we have obviously this in our little circle, right?
I keep having to get my door closing stick. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. In our little circle, we do have this kind of like we're talking against fun, right? We're saying, oh, like this, like we're not doing it for fun. Like our role playing is not about fun or whatever, right?
Right.
We've been known to say that. But I think obviously, and at least when I say it, obviously it's a meme. It's a bit of a meme, right? It's kind of like it's tongue in cheek. It's mostly like a reaction. It's sure that it's a tad tight on the chest.
It's doing what you wanted it to, Max.
What?
It's doing what you wanted it to.
Yeah, but now like I realize like it's riding up when maybe I should just unbutton one more button.
Pop a button.
Yeah, pop a button so I can so my big tits can breathe a bit.
Yeah. Let the girls out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Big Bad.
Oh,
Big Bad's in my chat telling me my audio works and that I sound amazing.
Good. You do.
That's good.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. It's clearly meant to be a meme, I think, but we never correct it. So it's like I wanted to just make sure everyone knows that I enjoy fun and the pursuit of it.
Yeah. Like I think the reaction is mostly like I haven't had this meme, right, that I can put on screen when I want, like, oh, as long as everybody's having fun, right? For me, like when we're criticizing the fun thing, that's what we're criticizing. It's like this slow, this very low, like, oh, everything is good as long as everybody's having fun, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do in the field when you pretend you play soccer. Right? Do you want to use your hand? That doesn't matter as long as everybody's having fun, right? Just like this kind of like attitude that annoys me, and I think this is a reaction. This is what we have a reaction to when we say like, you're not doing it for fun, right? It's not just for fun. It's not just for fun, cheap fun in the moment, right? So why do we do it?
Well, first of all, I don't think that should be an assumption. I think we should dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of what point I was making on the stream. I don't know if I made this point or not, but I intended to. I'm a busy guy, you know. I have I'm trying to figure out, what I'm going to do next in my life right now. I'm in a transitional period. I just graduated. I have a master's. I'm going to try and like get a side hustle, like an entrepreneurial thing going
Yeah.
while going back into teaching. I'm like on a diet. I'm on this like fitness, journey.
Yep.
And a journey with my own spirituality, which I'm not talking about a lot. And I got a wife and kid. So I have enough things in my life that I should be taking seriously. So it's like I need the release. I need this is a relaxing thing for me to do. That's valuable to me. So I don't know that not seeking out fun is as like a primary motivator for playing role-playing games is wrong, because it kind of is mine. I'm trying to enjoy myself with the hobby and stuff, and doing it really well is good, but it's more like I'm trying to find the most enjoyment out of the hobby as I can. I'm not trying to perfect my craft as much. I'm just trying to get as much juice out of it to maximize the efficiency of the leisure of my time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to do, because like time is scarce, right?
Yeah.
We all have competing things that are demanding our times, right? And even myself, right? Some like I often say, like there's
Everybody
some
does.
game I'm not in, like sometimes like I've been invited to some role playing games, stuff like that, and I say, well, I'm not really interested, because like either like the concept that it doesn't appeal to me, or maybe like the GM style doesn't appeal to me, whatever, right? Just like I'm not gonna jump in on every game, because like I have other things I can do with my time to be productive or to have fun, right?
Right.
So you need to clear a sort like this role playing session need to clear a certain threshold of
Mhm.
fun for me to be worth investing, right?
Right. So when we talk about fun, I think I'm getting really sick and tired of talk about definitions.
Yeah,
But it kind of seems like that's what we're dancing around. Like, what are we even talking about
yeah.
when we're saying
But
fun? Because we're talking about like a lot of the time, you know, Shar was like, fun is getting out of bed. Fun is like the baseline,
yeah,
what you should be having at all times. Uh, I was like, okay, that's.
well,
I don't know that I agree with that
I don't
version
know
of
like
what fun
if I agree with
is.
that. Like I with that either. But like
Yeah.
when you do something that where isn't it's not something we do that is productive, we're not accomplishing anything, we're not
Hmm.
getting paid for it. It's not a chore that we have to do, right? There's no ulterior motive for role playing than our enjoyment. So, in that sense, it is an activity that we do for fun, right? It's not a
Um,
job. It's not a chore.
but we are trying to get better at it. We are trying to find
Yeah,
the best practice,
yeah.
you know, and
But
that's also fun, I guess. Like, obviously, I'm doing it
well,
for a reason.
if we're trying to get better at it, is
Hmm.
because we believe that getting better at it would increase our enjoyment of the activity,
For sure. I agree with that.
right?
I also get enjoyment out of just talking about it, I guess.
Yeah, me
But I
too.
mean, that's like people like talking to each other,
Yeah, I like theorizing and thinking
Yeah.
about the whole thing. Like
Arguing.
yeah,
I don't know
I
if I
like
like arguing. Maybe I like
I like
arguing.
going up river in kayak, right?
Yeah.
And I guess you could say like that's also like a physical activity that you could say like there's health benefit to it. Maybe there's
Hmm.
that role playing game. There could be like social, like mental health benefit because you're doing some social.
Do you think the ability of being fully immersed in a role playing game is beneficial outside of role playing in any way?
That's an interesting topic. I'd like us to delve a little deeper into that,
Mhm.
but maybe just not yet.
Okay. But that's
I
kind
think
of the other side of it, right? Because like if like when you talk about basketball, or you talking
Yeah.
about like things like that, you're getting a good workout in, hand-eye coordination, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does the skill of being a better role player improve anything? That's something I was thinking about also. Anyways,
But
if you don't
you
want to
could
talk about
do other thing too, right? Like, like I said, like I like to go up a river in kayak, and I do it, I guess, in part for the physical activity. But I could do something else. Like I also like train in the gym. I could go for a run. I choose to do the kayaking thing because
Right.
for me this is a more fun option, right?
Right.
And I don't do it only for the physical benefit.
Mhm.
I do it for the fun of it, right? Just like,
Do you think that the fun makes the habit of exercise more palatable? Or do you
oh
think
yes,
you're just kayaking because you love kayaking and like, this is what I like to do?
uh,
I guess like
like
could be
the
both.
I I like kayaking because I like kayaking, but I like
Yeah.
kayaking and especially going upriver for the challenge that it represent. Like for me, it's a fight, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to go as far as I can upriver, and at some point, like the current is gonna beat me, right?
Mhm.
And then I turn around, I'm gonna go back to my car. But there's this pushing myself, which I like, right? This pushing
Mhm.
myself element,
Something else
getting
that good. I'm sorry.
getting better at something. And like when I was like I've been coaching lifting, right? And I used to do
Yeah.
that. And sometimes when people know that, oftentimes people come to me and ask like, "Oh, what should I do for training?" and stuff like that. And I always tell them like, the best way, the best form of training you can do for your health is the
Mhm.
one you're gonna enjoy.
Yeah.
Because like if you enjoy it, you're gonna stick with it. So find something physical that you like,
Mhm.
and then you're gonna stick with it, and that's gonna give you like the best reward in the long term. I can give you like a program that's gonna be like super efficient if you want to get stronger and stuff like that. But if you don't like it, you won't do it. Like
Yeah.
people ask me like in powerlifting, the best program you can do, one that you can tolerate. I
Mhm.
can give you like I'll do 5x5 and all this shit, right? Just like they're boring. Right? So you're not gonna so
Start
yeah,
throwing big tires around or something. I don't know.
if that's what you like to do, yes.
Yeah.
But like
One thing I would say is there's definitely a you get some kind of utility out of becoming better at kayaking. Like it
yeah,
doesn't I don't know that it helps you work out better. You're just like a lot more efficient at
yeah,
kayaking.
exactly.
And I imagine that that's like really gratifying. Like while you're hammering out, it makes it even more enjoyable. So you even stick with it more. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the same thing when you train for in weightlifting, right? Like you
Yeah.
train lifting weights so you can lift more weight, right? There's
Right.
no like end goal, right?
But it's
It's
not
like,
lifting more weight doesn't make you stronger, right? It's just like you're better at lifting weights almost.
well, that
In
could
a
be measured
way,
by how
that's
stronger you are, how strong you are, right?
yeah. But like
But,
if a person with really good technique went up against the same strength person with shit technique,
yeah, hmm,
like there's nah, you know what I'm saying. You know my point.
yeah, yeah,
So can we address the chat because they're throwing out some good
yes,
reasons to role play here, which
yeah.
is
Do you have
kind of what
the
we're doing
timestamp?
here.
You can give me the timestamp if you want a specific one. We can say hi to
Um,
people showing up.
can I highlight stuff?
Zanara, Dicedale, Daryl, LOI, LOL, Dave, Kdolo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
You have
an
to write this
exercise
so
of
that doesn't lose.
imagination. I think Dice Tales 912. I mean, Daryl Errett 912. He's probably the start of it.
This one. And I guess it's in imagination and if 4D also in creativity. Yeah.
Yeah. Just being imaginative and flexing your creative muscles. I would say that I'm way better at playing with my 5-year-olds because I'm a good role player.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's good. That's a direct benefit, I guess.
for sure.
Yeah, for something concrete in the real world.
Mm-hmm. And let's keep
Sure, it's
just
something.
down these three.
Yep. 40 takes your brain out if it's normal pattern of its normal pattern.
You want me to
And let
read?
it yes, please.
Okay. 40 takes your brain out of its normal pattern. I'll let you do the French ones. 4D takes your brain out of its normal pattern and lets it kind of reset. The focus demanded means that you're not thinking about other things. That's good for you, and it's also fun.
Yeah.
That's a
No,
really good
I
point, which kind of like was something I was thinking about as far as like in this like spiritual journey I'm on. I feel like there's value in staying present and staying in grounded in reality and in the moment. Um, there's that's probably a benefit in even
yeah.
secular things, of course, but it seems to be like really tied to me to like spirituality. And like I was wondering if like 4D kind of takes away, or not 4D, but role playing kind of takes away from that. Like it allows you to kind of disassociate yourself from reality almost. So it's almost like a exercise and counter like counteracting that ability, or does it help you do that?
Well, that's something I talked before about, right? Like for me, like what I like a lot about role play is about like like being like experimenting with a different thought pattern, right?
Yeah.
A different mindset. Being like I try to be somebody that I'm not, and thinking like, this other person, right? Like I'm not thinking as myself right now. I'm thinking
Mm,
of this other person that is not me, and the choice I make and the decision I make are based on this other person thought pattern, right?
mhm.
Mindset, right? And I think like and that's the basis of what we call empathy, right? Just like when you are able to understand that other people don't think like you and don't value the same thing as you, right? So you
Mm,
can say like you can look at somebody else, and that's a big problem. Like empathy is useful to dealing with like people in the odd group, right? I talk a lot about that. People misunderstand what empathy is a lot because like they mistake sympathy for empathy. Like the sympathy is like projecting your own feeling on somebody else, right? It's the question like, how would you feel if you were in that guy's situation?
yeah.
While empathy is understanding how this other guy that is not me would feel in that situation,
Mhm.
which
Uh,
might not be the same way that I would feel,
right.
right?
It was something in my algo for when I was doom scrolling some shorts, which is another great way to stay present.
Yeah.
Um,
Great.
this song came up. It was like the ex CIA guy that does interviews. I don't know. He's like a field agent, but he said the most important thing you can do as a field agent is focus on perspective and not on perception. It'll that like almost everyone is just seeing things from their own perception. But if you have perspective, which is basically this difference between sympathy and empathy that you're just saying,
Yeah. Yes.
then it allows
But
you to like you're more able to like understand the situation that you're in or understand
yeah,
how to deal with people.
that's something that Sun Tzu in the Art of War, like written like 4 or 5 century before Christ, right?
Yeah.
When he says like know yourself and know your enemies and you'll never be defeated, that's what he's
Mhm.
talking about. When he say like know your enemy, he's like us understanding that your enemy is not you. He's not gonna make the decision that you would make in that situation, right? That's what
Right.
he's talking about. Know who you are, but also know that the other guy is not you. He's not gonna think like you.
It's kind of ironic that we kind of talked about that maybe like a few months ago. How that's how role playing started. Almost was like
Yes,
these war games where people would
yes.
try and see the perspective of their enemies
Hmm.
and how they would react in a
Yeah,
situation. So it's kind of interesting.
yeah,
That's like the original purpose of role playing.
yes. And for me,
Yeah.
this is an important reason for why I want to role
Mm.
play, right?
So you can strike down your enemies.
So I can strike down my enemies.
Oh yeah,
So I can
in your
understand
cat
other
shirt.
human. Yeah, exactly. My magic cat shirt.
Yeah.
So I can understand other people better, right? And develop kind of this like or overcome this kind of mind blindness, right?
Mhm.
See other human being as people.
Yeah. So that's why I noticed that like there's something recent that I kind of disagreed with you with. We were talking about how the power fantasy isn't role playing, and self-insert, it's not
Yep.
really role playing because you're not really tapping into potentially the best, I guess, training. I don't know what I would call it, like the best skill that you might be exercising as a role player.
I think it's not like you're not going like I wouldn't say it's not role playing, but it's like
Mhm.
the first step, right? Like it's on the edge of role playing. If you're playing
Yeah,
yourself or a version of an idealized version of yourself, well, you're missing out on the
right.
opportunity of playing somebody that's not you, right? Of
Yeah,
thinking about as somebody that's not you.
yeah. And we talk about that a lot. How
Yeah,
40 is basically like us saying, "Hey, you're missing out on role playing.
yeah, you're missing out on role playing.
You should
Exactly.
try role playing once."
Yeah, and this is why also like when I say like those, even though we just talk about wargaming being the origin of role play in that sense, but like the modern wargamer, that's not what they do. They don't try to solve a solution and figure out what an enemy would do.
Right.
The modern wargaming is competitive game, right? So they try to they try to win, right? They try to, so
Sure.
it's all about tactic and stuff like that. If they try to understand what the enemy does, it's not about like a potential character. It's about like the guy sitting in front of them, right? It's not like, well, wait, now I'm playing a Russian guy,
Mm,
so I need to make my decision as the Russian, right? No, it's just like he's playing himself, basically. Like he's being himself,
right.
playing his orc army, right? So if you,
What would Nurgle do? So
yeah, yeah, exactly. You don't think about that. You think about the meta of the game, like what would be a good
I'm gonna spit in
tactics
his
in the moment.
mouth. Yeah.
But and when they, oops, sorry,
Yeah.
when they do the Brownstein kind of thing,
Yeah.
give me all right. When they do the Brownstein kind of thing, and I say like they're straying away from role play because they turn those role playing game into competitive play,
Right.
and now suddenly they don't make the decision as their character; they make the decision to win. They're trying to win at D&D.
Do what's strategically optimal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they're no longer putting themselves, and you know, like the sentence that is always like malign, right? Just like, oh, that's what my character would do because it has been abused, right? But that's actually like the essence of role play. That's what you should do. You should be doing what your character would do in that
For
situation.
sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Um. So, I guess I would say that I am interested in those systems and stuff. I guess it's a different uh need. I guess I don't know. I don't know why it's interesting me so much to play this like board game version
Mm-hmm.
of a role playing game. I think it's because I like board games.
Yeah.
It's like I see our I can't well maybe not now, but I see the pursuit of what we're doing as like the search for the game I want. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
versus like an exercise in empathy or
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, like this is like the exercise in empathy. That for me, like that's one thing I like in role playing game. That's one thing I'm looking for,
you know.
and that's something that I probably get benefit from in real life. At least if I would interact with other human being in real life.
I'm a human being, Max. You can
But you're not in
interact
real
with
life.
me.
You're
Oh
online.
yeah, that's true. I wonder if I'm in your dream and you're in my dream. I don't know what's going on. Anyways,
Yeah.
hopefully I'm the dreamer. We'll see.
Oh,
Should I want to be the dreamer? Should I want to be?
yes. You always like it's
Yeah,
yeah. You should want to be with the dreamer.
yeah.
But do you want to awaken?
I don't know.
But anyway, and like
Did we
the like
solve it? Are we done?
no.
23 minutes in? Oh, okay.
I'm just starting. Like this empathy thing, right? This experimenting up with different mindset and exploring, like, and you know, it's an interest like in human psychology, right? I guess, but like I even though I might get a benefit from it from in real life, I might. That's not what I'm doing it. That's not why I'm interested in that pursuit. I'm interested in that pursuit because it's inherently interesting to me.
I
and I
think that
find it fun.
I think that that speaks a lot to one of the first things that people seem surprised by also when they approach the style. It's like there's this kind of metagamey urge to like work as a team and like achieve something as a party
Mm-hmm.
and like make sure the plot pushes forward.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the convenient thing here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do the narratively like sort of makes sense to push the plot along to
Yeah.
yada yada what we're doing. Um, I don't know, just something I noticed. I don't know where I was going with it, but
Yeah.
I agree. You should play to your character and get wrecked when needed.
Mm-hmm. And like I often say, like I think the number one priority of the GM in this 4D style, in my opinion, is to preserve the very similitude of the world, and the number one priority of the player is to portray a believable and consistent character.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say, right? Uh,
So, and, I don't know if you want to branch off and other stuff, but
yes.
I'm about to go super off topic.
Oh no, I have like if you don't mind, I have like some other stuff I wanted to
Yeah.
add, because I'm talking about now the reason I want to I like this hobby, and the reason that I'm drawn to this hobby. And the main one, I would say, for me, it's to feel something. Like I want to feel, in a sense, like I was this guy in that situation, right? I often talk about the emotional alignment. I think like when you really immerse in role play,
Mm-hmm.
you get this emotional alignment with your character, right? If your character is scared, you kind of feel scared as well. If your character is excited or happy, you kind of feel that as well. Like it's a way to go reach emotion and intense emotion in the comfort of my own home, right? Just like so for me, that's one thing that I can get from role playing
Mm-hmm.
that I can hardly get elsewhere, especially without like putting my like
I agree.
sometimes I do put my life at risk for some excitement.
But you'd rather do it in a simulation.
It's probably wiser.
Probably wiser.
Yeah.
Not that you'd rather, but just that it's wiser to.
Yeah, and also like the modern world is quite limited in the
Yeah.
adventure you can have, right? There's cops everywhere, so it's a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. Makes the adventures
Yeah,
a lot shorter.
yeah,
All these cops.
yeah, exactly.
Something I remember about that, like probably the biggest time that ever happened was in that where I felt like an emotional response was in that Horizon game when
Hmm.
the fish monster was on like the promenade or whatever the fuck you call it. And
Yeah,
like the elevators were blowing up and all that shit. You remember that?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, of
And then
course.
like
Very
and then
marking
Brick,
session.
yeah, it was very awesome.
Yeah,
And then Brick like basically shit his pants and like ran
yeah,
off. Let
yeah.
let many innocents die. Um I don't know how intense like it certainly doesn't feel as intense as like a real situation.
No,
Maybe
obviously
it
not.
does for you. Yeah, okay.
No, 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 no. There's a damper to it, right?
Yeah,
Because we're not insane,
it's
but
not real.
like that's what I'm saying. It's like an alignment, right? Your
Yeah.
emotion are the same direction, not the same intensity.
Hmm. So do you want to be insane and have it like mimic it properly? Would you say that's better?
Well, no, because at some point, like that would be like losing connection with reality, right? It'd be like
That's what I'm
that's
saying.
when you cannot tell the real from the false. Could you dip in and
But the
out from
goal
it?
is the goal is to
Like if you can be like in the Matrix, right?
yeah. The goal
And
is
then
to
like
allow yourself to believe
yeah,
the false. Right?
hmm but and that's also part of the goal of the 4D thing, right? And the
Yeah.
co-creations, like the co-creation allowing us to fill in the blank, mean that we can keep the picture in our mind eyes vivid and go a little further and just limited to the dream narration so we can populate this world in our mind,
Yeah. I guess
and feel like we're more there.
I guess despite the fact that I'm not like feeling intense dread and stuff, I'm also not really experiencing a fish monster chasing me down a science
Yeah.
fiction corridor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that in reality. So
Yeah, which is cool to be able to experiment, right?
yeah,
Get those, and sometime also you die, right?
yeah.
And you have
Sometimes,
a and then you have a death that is worthwhile, and that's also something that's interesting to experiment that you can't really experiment in real life.
yeah. I would
Right?
say that um in the most I totally forgot that guy's name. Not
What guy?
the other guy I ran in Horizon. It's already gone.
Oh yeah,
You remember his name?
Baker.
Baker, yeah, something like that.
His first name was
Eli.
Eli.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just looked at the character sheet. Um, I would say I felt a lot more of like an emotional connection to that guy.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because he had kind of had like a daughter the whole time and
Yeah.
like some begrudging respect for your character.
Yeah.
That's cool. Anyways.
So
Uh,
those are my reason that I like this hobby, and that I choose to partake in this hobby more than like it, rather than doing something else, rather than going playing
mhm.
video game, rather than going to do some sports and stuff like that. If I put some time aside to do this, that's why.
So when you're looking for a game or you're being picky,
Yes,
um, as far
I'm
as
very
like
picky.
premises and
Hmm.
settings and tones go, what is your if it just rings like it would be a fun game? It's like, oh, that would be fun after you hear the whole
Yeah,
thing, or is it like I'm not gonna play zombies? I don't know.
the groups, the group conforts for a lot.
Sure, of
So if there are
course.
people I know like they get it and stuff like that, then I'm more inclined to. And the premise does count for something as well, because as premise I'm more interested in exploring the elder, but I can compromise and I can go like with a premise that I'm not that interested in if the group is good, right? So
Mhm.
there's that. There's another thing also, like sometimes I refuse games, like because I don't also think people I refuse their game that they think bad. Like sometimes, like a lot of time I refuse game just because I have enough,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't want to have 4 game in a week, right? Four
Sometimes you
game
got to
night, like
skip a few for
yes,
sure.
exactly. Like the vampire game, I
Yeah.
was interested in joining it, but I had the Orc game and the Horizon game, and I think I had like something else that would like the I think it was around the we're doing the Call of Cthulhu game, which we never finished in the end. So like at some point, like I just like, well, no, like I have all those characters living in my head,
Mhm.
right? I don't want to add another one. Takes me a lot, right? Like to because they're not just like a character sheet that I can read like 20 minutes before, like or 5 minutes before the game and be ready for it, right? Because like I need to get bring this mindset back, right, and step into that character skin, really, right? I want that's what I'm looking for. So it's a little more demanding maybe than for some other people.
Of course.
So sometimes that's just it. That's just like it's just like no, I cannot do
Yeah.
too much now. Sometimes I need to be myself too, right? I need some night to be myself.
But also, like, you're not super excited to play Vampire. So I'm sure that, like, ways you're like, okay, well, this one, I'll skip this one. And
Yeah, there might be some of that as well.
yeah.
Although in that case, like I had a concept I wanted to explore, wouldn't have fit
Oh,
on the
yeah,
game
I
we made in
remember.
the end.
I was glad you weren't in that game, to be honest.
Well, if you do the biker gang, like if you did the back since you did the biker gang, I would have done
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah,
it
you're
wouldn't have fit.
basically a
But biker,
biker gang member
yeah,
in
but a biker
reality.
gang member would also have been fun, right? Just like yeah,
Yeah.
bring back some memories.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's also a part of like sometimes when I refuse game, like it's just and also sometimes like people say, oh, we're gonna like if there to be long-term campaign without like a planned end inside, I might also
Yeah.
say, well, you know what? I don't want to commit to something that's going to be like
That's
30
exactly what I
years.
was thinking about. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have mentioned that the reason you like to play, a couple of reasons, is that you like to exercise empathy and that perspective that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And what was the other big one?
The emotional alignment, the
Yeah,
getting
same thing.
some emotion,
Oh yeah. Do you
feeling some
find
emotion.
feeling something for once?
You remember
Do you find
feelings?
do you do you do you find that the longer Horizon campaign was better at that, or did you think that the shorter, like one or few shot, was better at that? Any
Sometimes I find like
experience?
I think the one shot sometimes are a bit short for that.
Yeah.
Like 3 shots are fine. I like those a lot. 2 or 3 shots, right? 3 shots. It's a good number. The longer Horizon campaign did allow for some amazing moment.
Hmm.
Uh,
A lot of
with
context.
yeah, a lot of context, a lot of like we had time to delve deeper. At some point, I was I felt like we explore and we draw on the juice that we had to draw.
Hmm.
Uh, at that point, right? So we did like what 13 session, I think. We wanted to try for 26, and we made it about halfway, I believe. And you know
Was
what?
it only 13?
Maybe a little more.
For some reason, the number 18 is in my head, but you might be right.
Oh, but at
You're
some point,
probably right.
like at that point, I was like, you know what? Like I could go back to it at some
Uh-huh.
point, but now like I feel like I explored a lot of this character of this world. There's some more I could do because like now I'm back on my home world with the body of Brick
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So that's also be a scene that'd be interesting, like some scene there that would be interesting to explore. Some, but also I'm okay if we just say, you know what, we're done that.
Hang it
Like
up.
a mm,
Just hang it up. I was
yeah,
thinking, I mean, I basically just lost my character, so I kind of agree with you. I think that I would definitely like to play in that universe again, though,
mm-hmm,
because we
yeah,
put a lot of effort into that
yeah,
system.
yeah. That's something also something that could be done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I have not, I would say, sought out the things that you prioritize or the things that you value in role playing. That's never been really what I looked for,
mm-hmm.
but it's intriguing. I may try to explore that more for sure.
So what are you looking for? What do you go for role playing rather than something else?
Just the ability to be in a different world and like interact with it with no rails, and,
Mm-hmm.
like do whatever I want, be whatever personality I want in the moment, and just like with no consequence, like no real
Yeah.
consequences.
That's interesting, because you see, like that's not something that I mention that I'm looking for, and I do
Mhm.
like mundane world oftentimes, right?
Yeah,
So maybe
but
like
I don't live in a
yeah,
mundane world with no consequences. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like at the end of the day, you're done.
yeah, yeah.
We got
So
I'm
the
rife with consequences.
is that what you would call like escapism? Is that like a
Maybe I don't know.
so when you or to jump in the game, what gets you excited is the setting that gets you excited first and foremost.
The character I'm going to play.
Oh yeah,
No, but the character I'm going to play is tied to the setting. So like I'll hear the setting, I'll be like, oh, I want to play this character in that setting.
yeah.
Yeah.
What makes you excited about those character?
I don't know, man. That's a good question. Let's see. What made me excited to play Brick? I really like the idea of being like an engineering guy. Like I kind of was that. So Brick's kind of a self-insert for sure. Except I don't know shit about mechanics, I think like all of my characters I make are like some version or like some like hyper stylized version of me because I don't know how to. I don't typically try to play out of something I know.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a single character I ever did that.
When you come up with a character, what's your like the thought process usually? What do you start from?
Typically, I listen to what the other characters are going to be. And then I'll be like, we kind of need this to be a well-rounded group. This is like the cool version of that, where it's like that, but then there's this on top.
Mm-hmm.
And then give them a cool goal. I'm a very mundane guy, I guess.
And do you pick like an element of yourself
Yeah,
that you want to emphasize in the character?
step one is Desert Goblin available.
Yeah,
I'm
that hill there,
basically a
got it.
Desert Goblin.
Well, you have an option with desert for some reason.
Yeah. I do
Is it
love
because
the
like
desert.
nobody can give you no grief, no pain?
What? Oh yeah, I have a horse with that name. Yeah. Because there ain't no one for to give me no pain. Max.
Oh, sorry, man. That's not really my culture. I tried. I tried to reach you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I identify with a prison planet. That's totally true. Unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. What was your did I answer your question? Am I crazy? What did you ask me?
No, I was just curious about your process and when you're making a character.
How I make a character. Okay.
Yeah. Like
So
when you pick up his person, like let's think about the character that you are. Like what are the two most different character that you are? You think?
well, let's talk about Eli. I was thinking about your character when I
Yeah.
made him. I was like,
Yeah.
what would be a cool turn for your character? So I'm basically just taking away your agency. Is
Yeah.
my goal. And I was
Well, you
like,
didn't because like, I could have left you out there.
you could have, but you didn't.
I could have like sold you.
You're gonna leave me and my sweet little girl.
Yeah.
See, because I knew your vulnerabilities. So I made a character that would play into it. It would make it impossible for you to deny me. So that was an example of me like thinking about your character. And then I thought it would be cool if like because you were kind of listless. I was like, it'd be cool if I could just
I'm kind of what?
Your character was kind of listless, like he didn't have like a real goal.
Oh yeah.
It's just very like semi-profit driven, just trying to have a good time. So my guy was
kind of personal freedom, kind of, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for with this guy.
I mean, you can sit on a chair and have personal freedom, right? So
you can tell somebody like, come bust your balls, yeah.
Exactly. So I was gonna be the guy to bust your balls and try to hire him because I was like, he's kind of a badass. He's got this like covert ship. I was like, what if my guy hires or vets your guy into becoming an agent for like a government or something, or an agent for something?
Kind of clean it up.
Yeah, as a way to give you a character arc. I was like, that would be kind of interesting. and then or make it so that my guy's just like there, kind of like have you seen Firefly, the show?
Yes. Yep.
So my guy, I was kind of seeing
Oh, the
him as
show. No, I thought you thought about the bugs.
no,
No, I've seen the
I
show.
wasn't talking about the bug.
Have you ever seen some Fireflies?
Their butts light up. You know?
Yep.
But like I was seeing him as kind of like the preacher.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny because you kind of have like a Simon vibe with the girl, right?
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
very much Firefly inspired.
Yeah.
But yeah, the girl's like River for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
What's another character I've made?
Like Conway was saying, one of the big part why I roleplay is because I'm the most interesting way to experience a different mindset. I like role-playing characters that are different from me. It's explorative. That's kind of basically like very similar to me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Yeah.
What's the most different character from you? I guess
Sisban.
Sisman. Oh, me. I was
What?
Sisman.
Yeah. The most different character that you
Oh, I was saying for you.
Oh, for me? The most character that I made? Most different character from myself?
Yeah.
Alan was very different from very different from me.
That's true.
Like
he's kind of like that. You're opposite in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for, right? This guy is very like easygoing, doesn't worry about stuff, obsessed with personal freedom over everything else, right?
Always showering.
Yes, very different. I guess he did have some similar point, right? But like it wasn't like like that's the thing too, right? Like people say like, oh, you're always gonna have like some similarity with yourself in some way. Yes, we're all human, right? Just like most human, like there's like big trait that we share, right?
I agree. There was I forget I mentioned this another time, but there's this like movie where someone's like, I don't know how to do that. There was like in an acting class, and he was like, I've never been like kidnapped before. I don't know how I would act. And the teacher's like, you've been everything, you've done everything, you have experienced everything, like you can do it. And I don't know, I don't know why that stuck with me, but it just feels like you can't really escape. You kind of know how you would react in every situation almost, you know, like innately, or at least you have a guess.
Yeah, you have an idea, but when you're faced with the situation,
when it's real,
when it's real, like I've seen so many people like talk about this thing, right? Like what they would do, then they go into a critical situation, and I've done that myself, right? You somebody on the street like snatch fucking like $400 from your hand and move away, and and I would chase him like, but you just fucking freeze because like it's so outrageous. It's so unexpected. Right, just like those kind of like little thing like that, like human being freeze a lot, and it's the state of shock, right? Especially when it's the first time that you meet somebody. Like sometimes like people get choked, right? And they say, oh, you still have your hand and your feet free, you can like strike. Well, yeah, but you just choke, you just freeze, right? And that's also something that getting choked, like the first time it happens to you, so there's value to for repeat because then you can overcome the state of shock, right? Like as a bouncer, like we use that a lot, like when I was working as a bouncer, because we do pain compliance and stuff like that. But somebody that went through it many times, that doesn't work on him anymore, because like, yes, okay, he's putting pain on me, but I'm not gonna freeze. I'm not just gonna tolerate to the pain and put pain on him. Just like, right? So you learn those things, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to really, and I think that's also something that in role playing that I'm looking for, right? When I manage to get in the mindset of a character properly, right? And then I kind of become, in a sense, that character during the time of the session. Like my action are kind of instinctive. I try to role play in an instinctive manner.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And sometimes I say like I'm discovering this character as I play him, because like I have like this basis and I have like this character mindset in my mind, and then like I just go with the flow.
How deep of a mindset do you like what are some key things that you're thinking about, or is it just kind of like this feeling you have, or what is it like?
So when I come up with the character,
Mhm.
I made a stream about that, called how to role play somebody that is not you, right? And I often use some shorthand of psychology, right? I'm gonna say like, oh, this guy is gonna be this guy trait is gonna be very open or very disagreeable. Well, that would be like kind of myself, but
Yeah.
uh so I'm gonna take a trait like that, or I'm gonna say like, oh, this guy is gonna be like when I'm playing like Karn Pup, right? Which might be one of the characters that's the closest to me,
I agree.
this art guy. But like is like I'm playing as a kind of a id monster, right? The guy that's just like he's just following his pulsion, right? He got no super ego, right? This kind of thing. Those are the kind consideration you can have, like, what kind of pulsion what kind of pulsion aside your character,
Hmm.
and what kind of repression to those pulsion does he have, right? So when you think about that, those kind of thing, right? Those are kind of approach that I like to take.
I think I don't know what the hell I'm doing now, but I used to try to think of like an archetype and then like use that
Yeah.
as a stepping off point, and then over time, like you said, like see what it develops into.
Yeah.
Basically, what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like I really try to go from and I'm gonna try and think about like sometime like I'm gonna think about like a trauma that the guy had, right? Something that Mark is a people vice that you get, like that's what drive people are driven by their
Mhm.
vice a lot, right? We act out of vice more than we act out of virtue, just because of the nature of human being in a fallen world, right?
Certainly instinctually, like advice for sure.
Instinctually, exactly, because our vice are the thing that we cannot help ourselves of being, right? The
Yeah,
virtues, they're inspirational, they're what we want to be, but the vice
mm,
is the thing that we cannot help ourselves, right?
right.
We can, so at some point we can control them and fight them, but when shit hit the fan, we default back to that, or when the opportunity present or whatever, right? Just like, so those, yeah. So that's oftentimes where I start when I start with a like, who is this guy I want to play is gonna be, right? So now I'm doing that with the cat character as well, and now also in this one aspect I'm thinking about that as well is like, and Justin commented, like, I know he's in this chat right now, like I don't know if he's still there, but he just said, "I hello Justin." He's commenting on when I was in my last video when I was talking that I was gonna play a cat, and he said, "Oh, that's very easy. You just spawn and like be a jerk, basically." Like, but what I'm thinking is like, if you take a cat and you uplift him to human intelligence, what of the cat will remain? And at what point does it become just a person? So I'm trying to think about this one thing I'm interested in exploring now, right? It's not just about like playing a cute little guy with fur. It's
That's super hot.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, a cute little twink with fur and
yeah,
pointy ear.
it's
But it's
it's
about like
not that kind of dagger heart game.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's about looking at this yeah, like pondering this question, like where does where does the catness
Yeah.
stop, right?
I was
And when
watching
you become a person.
I was watching like a documentary about cats and how to like how they're just how to what they it's basically a documentary about cats. And apparently they're very uh they like it if you're extremely predictable, and they distrust you as soon as you
Cats?
are. Yeah. And they
Really?
don't like it They don't like it when your hand's over their head. I noticed.
Oh, this guy loves it.
Well, he
He
trusts
loves
you
having
now.
his
Now
ear
he
rubbed.
knows because you're predictable, so he'll let you do
Yep.
whatever you want. But like, and then you kind of like. Apparently, if you slowly close your eyes,
Yep.
like a cat, they love that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like,
It's
hey,
like they call it cat kisses.
hey, baby.
Slowly close your eyes and you open them slowly.
They're like, oh yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's saying like I trust you. I don't see it as a threat, and I'm not a
Yeah.
threat either. But cats
Anyways,
love when you respect their agency too. Like people say like, oh, my cats, they never want to come see me, right? If you take them against their will, if when they want to leave you hold them back, they
right.
would want, like, it takes very little, they won't want to come see you anymore. My cats always come see me
Yeah,
because
and
like,
also you never punish a cat. Is what
yeah,
I'm told.
yeah, it's pointless.
I just hate you.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Is it a femboy cat? No, it's a cat boy.
yeah, it's a cat boy.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. I'm not gonna do that. He's also Japanese for some reason. Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess that fit. But
I think
but yeah,
Sisbin is probably a good example of a character that's not like me, but I think it is who I would be if I was like him. You know what I mean? I don't know how to describe that. Like a gaslighting liar.
if you
That's
could get away with it.
like if I was Sisbin, that's how I would act. I don't know how to describe it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's an interesting observation that you say that, because you say if I
Yeah.
was Sisben, that's what I would act.
Yeah.
But what makes Sisben who he is how he act, right? We are defined by our action.
Right. But I'm saying like, yeah.
You get what I mean?
I
Like
don't
you
know what the distinction is, but maybe I'm just making it up.
No, but what you
Maybe I'm
I just feel
backing
like
him in.
there's a philosophical implication to what you're saying there, right? If I was him, that's what I would act. But what does it mean to be him? It mean acting like he would act in a sense, because like that's what makes somebody somebody.
No.
You get the I think it's an interesting philosophical point when you talk about role playing people and character.
Mm-hmm. I'm still confused as to
You're
what
still
your point is. I'm confused what my point is. It's
Yeah.
just saying it again is just confusing me. But basically, what I'm trying to say is if I had to do what Sisbin was doing
Yeah.
and I was in his position,
Yeah.
that is
But
how I would
still
go
you.
about doing it. Yeah.
So if like tomorrow you became an inquisitor.
If I was an
Would
inquisitor and like old and success was like, and I succeeded the way he succeeded. I don't know, but you're right. I mean, that's basically
Yeah,
what you're saying.
but now, like, now the more you put those
Yeah,
caveat, the
I'm
more you're
becoming
not, it's
husband.
not you anymore, exactly, right?
Right. That's a good point.
And that's what I'm talking about, like with role playing. That's when you start getting in the mindset. You say, well, okay, that's what I'm saying when I'm saying role playing. I'm saying, okay, if I was that guy, that is not me, right? With
Hmm.
those experience, this past, those goal, right, which are
Hmm.
not the same goal as I have, right? Uh,
So
then
I
how would I
guess
act?
what I'm saying is like
Yeah, we didn't role play yesterday.
I didn't role play yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about. I guess what I'm saying is that's what I mean when I'm saying every character is an aspect of me, is because I'm using. I don't, but well, I'm not though. Like thinking about it, I was gonna say I'm using my thought processes to like determine what the best course of action is, but I don't really do that either. I try to stay like in character in it.
Yeah. So I think maybe you are like maybe you are doing the same kind of thing as
Maybe
I'm
I
talking
am
about.
a role player.
Yes, maybe you are a role player after all. You just didn't like realize what it
Yeah,
implied, right? What
you know,
like what would be like what would be a character that would be like the most unlike you that you could play that you haven't played, right?
like a woman. Can you play?
Well,
You're saying don't play a woman though.
yeah. Because if you want to play a Roman realistically,
Yeah.
you would
Oh
come
yeah,
out
but
as a sexist caricature because of the worst aspect of women
sorry
are.
guys. Sorry guys, I'm on my period. I would say that
Yeah.
a lot for some reason.
No, but exactly.
Um, that's a good question. But again, I feel like I can maybe I feel like I can understand the perspective of like
Yeah.
most, yeah, or at
But
least
if you
assume that I understand the perspective well enough to, you know,
like
make
you're
a
not a very
passing
impulsive
attempt at it.
you're not a very impulsive guy, right? In life.
Uh, only when I'm about to fuck up. I've learned not to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or very aggressive, right? Maybe
Usually
somebody like
bad.
maybe somebody very aggressive.
I hear what you're saying, and maybe it's because you're you, but I consider myself unfortunately a kind of aggressive guy, like
You
compared to
yeah.
people around me.
You can be like a I forgot the word in English.
Assertive,
Not assertive. Acerbic.
acerbic.
Kind of like
Yeah, I'm definitely not
you're
physically aggressive with anyone.
no, but you have this tone and you can
Oh
this
yeah, my tone gets me in a lot of trouble.
abrasive, I guess.
Everyone thinks that I'm sarcastic all the time, when it's only like 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that'll be something interesting to think about for at some point for when your character, like thinking like somebody like so unlike me, uh, without going the way to play a woman, because
Yeah,
that's just disturbing
but
for
you
everybody.
also don't like the idea of playing like non-humans. Typically, I know you're about to, but
Yeah,
you
but
have
like
historically been against it.
yes, because I think well, it's because I think that you can I think that you can find interesting way to play people that are not you
Mhm.
without going outside of like playing a human. And I think that oftentimes also people that do play non-human don't really explore the implication of being non-human, right? They just outside of like the physical thing. Like I've been playing an orc now, right? Just like which something, and I'm trying to think about like what would mean, right? What would
You're
be
like, let me just play me.
exactly? What would it be like to be an orc?
I
Oh,
mean,
basically me.
me with a bigger dong.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Um, yeah. I feel like I've played a pretty wide range of characters already.
Yeah.
But maybe like a cop.
I could see you as a cop. You
Yeah,
think
but
you're not
that's something I
cop-like?
haven't played.
Yeah, because it sucks playing cops.
Yeah. Does it?
Yeah, yeah,
Being like an arbiter of justice. I'm saying that, not like a shitty cop.
yeah. You play the cop in the or the UNPC in one
Oh
UNPC.
yeah,
You play the cop.
the rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh no, I was the vet. I was the vet.
No, you're the vet. Yeah,
Yeah,
Crispy was the rookie.
I was
Yeah,
the donut eater.
yeah.
Damn it.
No, because like it's too playing a cop is too much in the system, right? It's like you have like those procedure, and you have a boss telling you what to do. It's like you don't have much agency. You're doing
I
a job,
played
right?
the most not that cop you could.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I don't know what I think
So you want to shift about talking about like mechanics then? Because that's the other part of like the board game aspect of the role playing. That's
Yeah, so
the other part.
what I was talking about was so I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to gaming, and I saw the idea of trying to find that perfect game. So like when I was a child,
Yeah.
I played a lot of like I have these cool vivid memories of like immersing myself in like board games like Shogun, which is now called like Samurai Swords, that
Mm-hmm.
game,
Yeah.
Milton Bradley game.
Yeah.
And like thinking of myself as like putting myself in that situation, like imagining scenarios like as though they would be playing out in reality, but have this like sort of tabletop representation of it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking it would be cool to, but I'm still like playing the game. You know, I ain't trying to win. So I was thinking it would be cool to have like leaning into that, trying to play a game that has a lot of mechanics, but like trying to immerse myself in the theme. Like,
But
something I like about board games. The first thing
yeah,
I care about in a board game is theme, which is weird for board gamers, I think, but maybe not that
yeah.
weird.
I'm big into team as well. Although like I got a fucking like whole fucking shelf of board game right next to me, right? And they all have the same fucking team.
All zombie medieval.
Yeah,
I know
all like
you. I know you have
medieval.
Black
Like
Plague. I don't. That's the
yeah,
only game I know you have.
yeah. Black Plague. Yeah, I have a bunch of them. Like
Yeah. But I mean, Twilight
Dark
Imperium's
Age.
dope as shit.
Yeah,
Like,
I never played it.
it's like
I have Doom also, right?
Dune.
Yeah,
Actually,
which is dope as shit.
I know it pretty well.
Yeah, but yeah.
So I don't know. I wanted to. I feel like role playing games are the better vehicle for that than a board game because board games you have to kind of abstract a lot of things, whereas in a role playing game you can just like get right to it and then put the mechanics where they need to be and do that experience that you want without like. But and the games I referenced were Axe 2 and Dune role playing game. Also, another game I got was in the Android game, which is like the Genesis system, which has like narrative
Oh,
dice.
I hate it. I hate this one. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. I was just wondering if there's like a way to make that cool, if I recreate that cool childhood experience of being immersed in a board game. It is a
But like if you play Risk, just to give an example that everybody's going to be somewhat familiar with, right? You immerse yourself in the fiction of the game that you are this
the Asian Empire or whatever.
This general, right, trying to conquer the world in this world war, right? This dictator or whatever. But on the moment to moment, like you're not making necessarily like you don't have a personality to this general necessarily, right? And you're not making decision. You're making decision to win. You're not making decision based on because because this guy thinking this way, right? This guy that I'm portraying, right? Hey, nice.
But is there a game? Is there a our type of role playing game where you can do that? You can't really do that. with our role playing game. You know what I'm saying? With 4D.
You can't do what? Like
Have an immersed experience as a general where you're able to strategically move your armies around and try to win a war.
oh yeah.
You know, that would take a lot of
It'd be a
low.
challenge.
It would be low res. It would be
Yeah.
too low res to really be like an actual to really allow you to tap into like actual strategizing. And
I'd like at some point to try a 4D domain play game, right?
yeah, me too.
But for me, the interesting part for me is like when you go to this meeting to go to strike a deal with somebody, right? And now like I have to like I want you to come ally with me in this fight. And now we're in the stand on the field, and I need to find something I can offer you that's gonna sway you to come to my side, right? This is the part I'm interested in playing, right? Not necessarily the mass battle. The mass battle, then this can be abstracted in a sense.
Well, I'm interested in both.
Yeah. The problem with the problem when you come to this more gamey or board gamey or war gamey side,
just allowing in those elements. But yeah, I would call it a board game.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to coin just for this stream is the 2.5D game.
Yeah. But my view, like, and I think I mentioned that a bit to you, or maybe not. Maybe I just thought about doing it and say, oh, you know what, I'll talk about it on stream. Like the issue I see with that is that there can be a conflict between trying to win the game and trying to portray the character in a believable and consistent manner.
And I would say that goes back to what we have been. This is why being a 4D role player, like you need 4D role players to do what I'm talking about. Because what do you do to solve that? You vet your player.
Yeah, I should pay attention to the chat a bit more. Like I've been like we're doing those thing live. We should pay attention to the chat. Let's put a pin on what we're talking about before we go on this whole different topic. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's see. Oh man, I was far back. I'm sorry.
Yes, there's been a lot of good chats. I've been glancing over.
Yeah, like it's an interesting conversation, but so I tend to forget about the chat. I get all the criticism that role-playing girls would be stereotypical.
I'm gonna give you a second. I'm gonna step away for a minute, but I can hear.
But all the most famous and well-enjoyed female characters are generally written by men. Yes, because they write them as men, basically. Like, you know, the female element is very superficial. If they wrote female as female, you know, like one of the best female character in a TV show, one of the the best written, not the best, but the best written female character in a TV show is Skylar in Breaking Bad, and everybody hates her. But that's a well-written female that behaves as a female, right? When they do like the Better Call Saul and they do like Kim Wexner, that's not a female character at all. Like their femaleness is very, very extremely superficial. So there's my point. Who else I saw as a good? I saw one good female character. Oh yeah, in Cobra Kai, right? Which mid. I didn't like it that much, but the wife in the first season, I cannot say for the whole thing, but in the first few seasons, the wife of Daniel San, Daniel Rousseau, right? La Rousseau, is a well-written female character. I think she was good there, right? She's written as a female, as a woman, and she's not hateable. But yeah. So now I was saying skill you can learn via roleplay, coordinating with a group of people. Yeah, oration. I could work on that. Practicing handling social dynamic. Some people use RPG to practice their writing skill. Well, that's wrong. The last one. Yeah.
Okay.
I roleplay because I love to pretend to have feeling. Exactly.
I just wanted to say something that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Daniel's wife is fucking totally unlikable.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Okay, but she's a well-written female character. That's all women are.
She's like
Totally unlikable.
maybe in the first season, but she's like it really felt like she was like the girl boss that was always right. Like she would always prove to be right and the rational one in the room. So
Well,
I don't agree with you.
she always right. Sometimes she was
Skylar, I
wrong
agree. I think that was a
because the
good.
thing that the thing would work out like. But she was kind of like Daniel Daniel Larusso and Lawrence were also like fucking acting like retarded idiots in that show, right?
Yes.
So and the what was her name though? The wife, forgot her name. The wife, anyway.
I
She
don't
was
remember.
what?
I don't remember.
Yeah, she was siding with her husband, but also trying to protect the family and take care of the in groups and trying to reduce conflict. Right? She's doing all those kind of like very womanly thing in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And
But it's like those characters that are always like, I don't know. It just seemed like she always detected everything. So like there will be this like thread going that Daniel's too much of an idiot to notice that there's some sort of tension somewhere. And then she like walks into a room and goes, "What was that?" I'm like, okay. And then Daniel's like, "Nothing to worry about, dear." She's
yeah,
like, "Okay." Because she's right, obviously.
yeah.
Anyways, I don't want to go into that. She's the worst part of that show.
Oh, really? Maybe.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she's
that's
hot though.
interesting. That's interesting. I thought I should because I didn't really like the guys in that show. I hated
Oh, how do
Larusso
you
and
watch that show
Lawrence.
if you don't like Johnny
I didn't
Lawrence?
I like I well doing something else at the same time.
No.
That's how you do it.
Whole
But
reason to
like
watch that show is Lawrence.
the men in that show of like were so fucking stupid
Yes.
and stuck in the past so much. They were pathetic. So for me, like this, like the first few season that I watched, she was my favorite part of the show. Amanda, her name, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe not.
I got a question for you
Yeah.
because this is something that Bear talks about a lot. It's like one of his greatest hits things where they always talk about how Ripley was written as a man
Yeah.
in the first Alien.
Yeah.
But obviously she's not written as a man in the Aliens.
No.
Which
She's
version of
womanly.
Ripley do you prefer? Aliens Ripley or Alien Ripley?
Even she was written as a man, but she wasn't portrayed as a man when the actor Sigourney Weaver portrayed it. Sigourney Weaver brought something of
Obviously.
herself in the character, so she's still like even though like she's masculine woman, she's still got those woman quality to her, like the fact that she saved Jones in the end, and stuff like that, right?
Right, but my point is they didn't write her as a man in the second movie because she was a woman.
Yeah.
Established as a woman. So
Yes.
did you feel like there was a difference, or do you think they just kept the same?
No, I think I think I think it works because like you could see like what she went through could have produced a shift in personality as well, like her being more in contact with her woman in nature, right? She was like a very masculine woman, but then she went through something quite traumatic, and even then, like she had still this womanly side to her, it's not a dramatic shift either. She's still like this kind of like she for me like the arc that she has from Alien to Aliens doesn't feel jarring. She's still
I'm not
feeling like
saying
the
it's jarring. I'm
character
just
that
wondering
evolved.
I'm just wondering if you think it was better written in the second one or the first one.
One thing that I don't like about what they did in we're playing the first Alien is that they remove our bush in in post because she didn't
Dare they?
shave. What? You
How
didn't? You
dare
never heard
they?
that? You ever heard that story?
No.
No, it's just a funny story. Like Sigourney Weaver didn't want to shave her bush,
Take it out
and
in post.
that's what they
Like,
did.
can you just go to the bathroom? Take it out in post. Like,
I
jeez.
think they should just have left it, but
Obviously.
apparently, like it was a problem for them. Fucking Puritan. Dean say role playing encourage collaboration, communication. It engages you socially and flex your creative mind. Yeah, it allows you to consider a situation you normally wouldn't. A type of social practice. I like that as well. A lot. Yeah. Let's shift down a bit.
Shut down?
Shift down a bit.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna skip randomly in the chat if see what. All right, Conway was saying.
You're all
If you start a
special to
campaign,
us.
that's funny because Conway had like this big rant about like how he hate cats, and he got a fucking cat for his icon. Conway, I'm calling you. If you start a campaign and the only plan you have is it's long term, then you already fell for a classic blunder. The player determined the length. No point in continuing to beat a dead horse. Yeah, I agree with that.
I guess.
Yeah.
You can say I want a long game. That's what we did.
We wanted to try it, but we have an experimental approach, so we're kind of an exception.
It wasn't an organically long game. Like we wanted to make it a long game.
Yeah. Yes.
All you got to do is not metagame the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. I've been accused of drama LARPing. That's an interesting one. When you kind of like do like the trauma dump in your game.
The trauma dump, huh?
Yeah, you get your own fucking trauma and you explore them in the game and shit like that. I guess that's what he's talking. Oh,
okay.
maybe that's not what he's talking about. I don't know.
I think he's talking about how someone was commenting in his video that they think role playing is cringe and they called it drama LARPing.
Oh yeah, well maybe. I didn't want to put word in your mouth. Yeah, this is not a. Yeah. Conway was saying you can definitely learn a lot by role playing, both about the mindset of the character you're embodying and also the scenario. Yeah, it's like stepping in a time setting machine. That's an
I don't
interesting
want to
question.
seem like I'm like whatever.
What?
So you can learn a lot about someone who you're inventing and the place you're inventing. Like, is that
Yes.
have value?
Yeah. Well,
Maybe, I
yeah.
guess.
You're considering like something, right?
You're considering something, but I mean, the value isn't in learning about a bunch of fictional things.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Arun say like stream is discussing playing the character versus playing yourself in a situation, which is divided in Hollywood movies too. Some actors will be made into a car, but many just play themselves in different scenario. It's like what they call also like method acting, right? When people like try to become the character and this whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, you don't have anything to say?
Daniel Day-Lewis, so cool.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you think so?
I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other on him. I can only think of him in Gangs of New York, and that has been kind of
awesome
spoiled by yeah, but the fucking RPG pundit using that fucking image for like 20 years as Avatar or some shit, right? Just like kind of spoiled it for me.
Oh, I don't follow.
Yeah.
So,
But I don't either. But and that's why I don't know if he's still using it, especially now he put his face out there. But
is he pretty?
no,
Oh.
it's not specifically ugly either. It's just like a normal guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've noticed. Well, never mind.
What?
Nope.
No. Okay. Yeah. Self-censoring feel.
Yeah, it's one of those not impulsive situations.
Yeah. I like the concept of chivalry. That's why I like playing fantasy game. There's a standard of good that's worthy to uphold, but you can play character that never live up to it.
I love playing chivalrous characters in not fantasy genres.
Yeah.
Especially, well, yeah, just someone who's doesn't necessarily need to be. You know.
Yeah. I like also when there's conflict between like what you should do, what you can do, what you ought to do, right? All those kind of things, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's
when
good.
the ideals come into conflict with the situation, right?
Also, another thing I get out of role playing is I like to kill. Sorry.
Yeah. I never got to do that in real
Yeah, you
life.
know, I haven't killed a man. So
Yeah, never killed a man, as far as I know.
right.
Hello, Square Limit, by the way. I just saw you said AO earlier.
Ew. It's getting dark in this chat or in this video.
Mr. Max just doesn't want to play just Mr. Max doesn't want to play the wench in the bar that gets randomly picked up by the corn pop for a quick shag. Yeah.
Why not?
No,
Why don't you want to play that?
as a GM, I don't mind that, right? Well, I don't want
Okay.
to roleplay the fucking shag. If they're like throwaway, but it's also like I don't know, it's more complex than that. Yeah, there you go. I hate cats. They're not made to be human companion. Dogs is where it's at. Cats are just useful animal that were made to just kill pet. Caring for them is like a pet is a mistake. And see, like with this fucking icon there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you say so.
Yeah,
Sounds like you're trying to convince someone else.
yeah. All right. Just arrived. Max going to a disco in that shirt. No, it's just like it's summer. It's one of my summer
Summertime,
shirts.
guys.
Yeah, yeah. It's a cat shirt too, right? Talking about cat, they all like big cat face. There you go.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's an eye on your shoulder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a big. It's all
Now
like
I
it's
see it.
the print is all like cat face. Oh, there's one ear like upside down on that side, right?
Yeah.
Cat face and a little star. So
Magic cat.
yeah. Oh, there you go. So another say I just watched Aliens yesterday. She's the one who stopped the guy. Say, oh, on the colony, about 80 family lives there, and she stops families, knowing children will die. Yeah. She was a mother who never got to see her daughter again, being frozen in time for 58 years. Oh yeah, it's true. I forgot about that. Eh, she does have a daughter.
Newt.
No, on the first movie.
Oh, really?
But because of the way space travel work, is that a thing or is that a different movie? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't seen the movies in a while.
I'm slicing the stream for that. What did I say? Is it about the Bush thing? or is it some? Anyway.
They like them freshly shorn in Germany. Is that right?
Yeah. Missing out. Cats look cute, funny, but they are not pet material. Kind of like all those people that own foxes, monkey, bear, or tiger, whatever. They're cute, but they're not pet. They're just animal. Dogs are best. I love dogs too. I have a dog as well, just right here. But anyway, so okay,
I don't know
mechanics.
why people have to hate one or the other. Just they're both fine.
Yeah.
I think I'm starting to lean more towards cats, actually.
Cats are very convenient pet.
They are. Oh my god. It's just because they're not a hassle. That is why.
Yeah, they're not an asshole. And if you can deal with them properly, they're fine. They're
Start,
like they can be very
up on your
affectionate.
keyboard and shit.
Yeah, I don't have this
It's
problem.
annoying.
Like they chew up sometime, but they do it in decent spot.
Yeah.
They're well behaved for that.
I think it's because my cat hated me at the end.
Yeah, they sometimes because they try to get your attention for something. Like you do have to pay attention, right? They have a weird way of communicating. So, yeah, so mechanics that get in the way, like when you try to win the game, that can be a conflict that is goal that is conflicting with the goal of portraying the character, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Because you're
So
going
what
on.
is the game? So that
What is
totally
the
depends.
what is the game? If you're talking about a role playing game,
Yeah.
and we say that the goal of the game is to portray this world and those character and this fiction and be immersed, right?
Okay.
This, if we say that that's the goal of the game,
If that is the goal, then you should play 4D.
yes,
100%.
yeah. Because I'm not against game mechanics, obviously, right? The game I'm writing is mechanically heavy.
Right.
I like, and that's what I'm trying to do, right? And that's also like where I find what you're talking about is so interesting because like what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reconciliate
Right.
crunch your mechanic with role play. Try
Yeah.
to find a way that you have enough because I like playing with system as well. Making build, finding a way that system interact together, having something that is like when you play a game, choice is important.
Hmm.
Making choices. In a role-playing game, you always have choice of what you do, right? Because you have your player agency.
See it,
So,
Dave. Sorry.
hmm?
I'm addressing my Rumble chat.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. Uh, so yeah, so in a role-playing game, you have choice because of what you do. You chose what your character does every turn.
Mhm.
But if you were to always make the same role for resolution, then it's not a choice that is. It can be a choice that is narratively significant, but it's not mechanically significant. And I like both. One of the
Yes.
reasons why I like EZD6 so much is despite being a rules light game, the karma mechanic give you a mechanical choice every time you roll, basically.
I agree.
Right? Do you want to spend karma or do you want to gain karma, basically?
And there's no way to make that like I'm going to spend 2 karma because I'm this type of personality. Like that's not really a thing, right?
It is a thing.
Is it?
You can say I'm going to spend 2 karma because succeeding on that is very important for my character.
Okay.
That's how I justify it
That's fair.
narratively, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like I'm trying a little harder than I would.
So here's what I would say. As far as I think it's awesome. I hope that Bastard Sword is the solution. I think it's on its way to being the solution. But we don't have, we kind of talk about this in other places where like I'm not a general, so I don't know the best way to behave strategically
Mhm.
in a war scenario.
Yeah.
So I get to try as hard as I can. And it is as in character as I possibly can be.
Mhm.
If I am playing strategically sound in the mechanics of a game that is meant to simulate this general using his armies, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So like most games, like domain style games, you're this aristocrat, hyper skilled person that is a specialist in these like places that might have mini games attached to them. And so
Mhm.
you could make the best decision strategically, and it would be in character. And there's no immersion breaking there. You know what I mean?
No,
Or there's
I
no
don't know
out
what
of
you mean.
character. You're not playing out of character. You're not metagaming because you're just trying your best.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I get what you mean. I'm sorry.
Okay, so like in Dune, the role playing game, there are a bunch of different sort of mini games. One of them is like a skirmish mini game, which is basically just like combat, just like a normal combat.
Mhm.
But there's also like warfare and intrigue and a few others. I always forget the other ones, but they basically kind of require a VTT, it seems like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's like you're moving pieces around and you're moving your assets around.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I don't see how you could do it without a VTT, really. If you're
Mhm.
going to actually play that mini game, you probably just throw it in the trash and play Dune. But
Or if you play the
skirmish
table,
game,
you have
the
like
skirmish game you could probably do Theater of the Mind, no problem. But the other ones, like you're controlling like assets and like your pawns, and it's like a
it's basically a
strategy.
board game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I can simulate being the general. I can do all that over in like a management layer.
Yeah. But at that point, your success depends on your skill as a player at that mini game, no?
Yeah.
So that's
But
where for me,
I'm playing as someone who knows how to do it.
yeah,
You know, like it's like their job.
yes.
So I should be able to play it optimally. Right?
But what if your character would be better than you are?
Well, I can't do anything about that. How would I possibly fix that?
But that's the immersion. If you suck at the mini game, right? But you're playing this guy that should be good at warfare or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden your character is bad at warfare because you as a player is bad at this specific mini game.
I wouldn't know any different though. My immersion, I'm worried about. I don't give a shit. It's real.
Like I think like sometimes those mini game, right? They're kind of get in the way. Well, there's a game I know I'm bad at.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
I can still enjoy them. Like,
well, then what's the problem?
Well, because it's about like preserving immersion. That's what we're talking about. Like, does that break immersion?
If it's about preserving immersion, you should play 4D.
Yeah.
If you want to play systems,
yeah,
there's no solution, and I hope Bastard Sword is.
If you want to play,
there's no solution to introduce a board game with role-playing elements that is a 4D solution. In my opinion,
because it's when you go like when you bring the player back. Okay, there's a few elements. When you take the players out of the viewing the world through the eyes of a character, right? Already you're breaking immersion. When you get the player mindset and player skill over character mindset and character skill, you're also like moving away from roleplay, which it's not necessarily a bad thing because like there's nothing wrong with board game in a sense. Right. But they could be conflicting goal. Like if you were to do like,
well, this is where the start. Did I disappear? Hey, I'm back.
For a second, yeah.
I'm back.
Magic Phil.
I had to go check my guns. That's where we go back to the beginning of what we're talking about. The goal in this type of game is to have a good time.
Yes.
I'm trying to enjoy a Dune themed board game where I can sort of soft role play in it and enjoy
because
myself.
It's just saying having a good time.
Yeah.
You and that's the problem that we say when we say, oh, as long as like the problem with, oh, as long as everybody is having fun, because like you need to set some balance, right? We need to have a good time doing this thing, right? Doing this specific thing that you need to define. Every time you try to do something, and like outside of role playing for the mainstream, right? Is, if we're just like in a garage band together and we meet on the weekend, you play music, right? We're doing that to have fun, but like, we're trying to make it the experience pleasant for us, but in a specific context, doing specific thing. The same thing, we decide to role play, we do it for fun, but reaching this fun in a specific way, right?
And the fun in the specific way that we're trying to reach in this situation
Yeah.
is big domain style systems where I can have no limitations, like a normal board game that abstracts everything, and I can like do what I want. There's like a GM involved, and they can just kind of tell me what I need to roll.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I
But there's
know what you
still those
mean.
like board games and stuff. So
I know what you mean exactly. Like that's the thing. Like you could play a war game, you could play a board game, you can play diplomacy, right, if you want, and you have this kind of element.
I'm sure that there are board games that you could role play in.
Well,
Like
yes,
diplomacy is a great example.
yes, there are some board game you can role play in. Like sometimes, like because you mentioned like Black Plague, right? Zombicide Black Plague.
Yeah.
You have those characters there, and you can decide like if you want to give them some personality and stuff like that, and play them in suboptimal way to express that personality.
Sure.
Or sometime, like, if you play the non, right, that can rush toward enemy, I guess, like that express something about like, or mechanics express something about their personality, I guess. So
what if I want to play optimally? Is that allowed? And why wouldn't it be allowed?
Yes, you can play it optimally.
Yeah.
And in a game like that, right, you would say like the power that the character have, or probably an expression of their personality anyway, and you decide the personality. So it's like, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
There wouldn't
We
be
used to
necessarily conflict
play.
there.
We used to play this game. I want to say it's called Heroescape. It's
Heroescape?
not the
Yeah.
board game. It's the one where you like build terrain.
Yeah, Heroescape.
It is Heroescape. We'd
Yeah.
have like 8 people playing at once on this giant table.
Yeah.
And all of our guys like have these like we get together like every third day
Yeah.
and just like drink and smoke and play this game for hours. And we'd have these like rivalries, and people would have like all kinds of shit going on. People
Character rivalries or player rivalries?
Well, because people played the same characters, so it'd be like, oh, these guys are fighting again, just like like a fortnight ago. I don't know.
It's a emergent narrative.
Yeah,
in a sense, right?
And that's dope.
But let's say like if somebody was playing like Superman in that game, because you also like, I don't know what version you're playing, but you also like superheroes, shit like that.
There are superheroes. I think it's Marvel, but yeah.
No, whatever. Would there be like a situation where
we didn't play those? It was like those are kind of lame, but yeah.
No, but just because like they're established character with some kind of personality, like would it become like a situation like somebody does a move with Superman that he could do, right? And then somebody will say like, well, Superman would never do that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, we would come up with the reason why he would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that
it's
time,
like you do the optimal thing, and it's like, oh, well, it's because it's because of this.
So is it what you're looking for? Is like, is you're looking like to have like this kind of like board game experience, interacting with mechanics, and titillating your brain in a different manner, in a sense, right?
This is why I like the idea of 2.5. Okay, and I was gonna make a whole video on this, but basically, like, the reason why 4D is good and people want to play it is because 2D is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one wants to play 2D because there's no one's well, the players aren't getting to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
The only hobbyist in a 2D game is the GM because he is the one that has created the whole world. He's telling a story. He's got all these minis going. You know, he is the only one that has elevated himself past 2D
Well,
to
it's
do
funny because
something on top of a 2D game.
I find like oftentimes what we see in 2D, right, is
Yeah,
is also like conflicting goal. The GM want to tell a story, and
yeah,
he put all this work in to tell a story,
yeah.
and the player are just there like they're gonna go through the story, waiting for the combat where they can
Right,
play the game.
right. Um, and it's not even fun because role
Combat
playing game
sucks.
combat is shit. Yeah,
Yes.
and so people will stop role playing because it's so bad, or
Yeah.
um, they will stick with it and just think, I don't know what the hell they're thinking, but
And that's
they
interesting
want to be
because
with friends. So they're
yeah,
turning it into a social event. So they're turning it into 1D.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like everything is a way to get away from 2D. It seems like now I would say a 1D game is a version of an elevated 2D game because it's something on top of the game. It's the
Hmm.
social event. It's partying. It's snacks and drinking.
Yeah. And
And
I
I
often
was
say that I prefer 1D to 2D.
yeah, because it's more
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
It's more fun to just hang out with people than it is to play a 2D game.
Yeah. Having a
And
drink, making
yeah,
jokes. Yeah.
and that's what I think Bronstein is too. It's 2D, but then they added a layer, the one-on-one time.
Hmm.
There's more to it than a 2D game. That's why it's interesting to a 2D player because there's that more that they thought that role-playing games could do. And I think role-playing games can be a vehicle for really interesting things as long as you can get past 2D. And I
Hmm.
think that turning it into a really cool board game is good because is another way to do it, anyways. Which is kind of what
Because
Bronstein is.
yeah. Because like what's the like why does like combat in role playing games sucks oftentimes?
Because it's I don't know. I think D
For
and
me, like
D. I
the
think D&D combat might be one of the better ones because it's so many
oh no, it's
systems.
I think it's one of the worst one.
Well, it's one of the worst ones for role playing.
Not only for that, like there's a lot of problem in
Yeah.
D&D combat, and one of them is like it's very static, right? A lot of time you're gonna there's some character class like it
Mhm.
you kind of solve your character, right, and you know what you can do,
Yes,
right,
that's true.
and at some point so it become like samey and you don't have this choice anymore, right? There's no like this situation are not varied enough that oh okay now what I'm gonna do now, right, and make a
Yeah.
choice.
You don't have to
And
sell me on Bastard Sword. I'm already very excited.
but like when you have like the barbarian character, like every
Yeah.
fucking turn he doesn't move, he's just
Reckless
standing
attack.
there exactly doing his reckless
Mhm.
attack. Why is
Yeah.
my color changing so much? What's wrong? Camera is freaking out. It's
It's a
like I have
cat.
it's like I'm candle lit.
You are
I'm not.
candlelit. That is weird.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like he doesn't know how to do the white balance.
There's romance in the air.
Yeah, because there's no white in the
Yeah.
in the camera, so he doesn't know what white should be.
Yeah. It's not used to having purple clothes on.
But
So
also like I'm quite red in the face because I spent the day outside.
you're kayaking. Yeah.
Yeah, but so yeah, so D&D combat is kind of boring, and
Mhm.
a problem that also the combat in role playing have is like when there is a situation that requires you to step outside of your zone of comfort of the solve thing you have your character, people want to test drive their turn and takes forever, right? So
Yes.
then combat become very slow, and because the GM wants to tell the story, and then combats take a long time, and it gets in the way of him telling his story, he's gonna gravitate toward like having simpler combat in the game
Right.
so it can run faster, but the player are just going through the story, waiting for this moment when they can play the game, have this combat scenario. But now, because you try to simplify it, it became boring, right? So there's this like conflicting goal there,
Right.
between the player and the GM.
100% agree. So you're saying, so what would be a combat system in a role-playing game, aside from Bastard Sword, obviously, that gives you like pretty good choice and stuff like that? Because I don't know that there is one.
It's because if you make it too complex, it can also get in the way of role playing, in a sense. Like when you have like because you always have to talk out of character. Like in Dagger Art, right? It's the problem we're gonna see, I'm sure. Like we all have those power that we can activate, but every time we're gonna activate, somebody's gonna activate one, the power will need to be explained. So now it's gonna be a lot of out of character talk and stuff like that. So
I remember Rolemaster being kind of different. Like there was a lot of choices you could make in that, especially if you're a spellcaster.
But I never played it. I don't know.
There's lots of tables you get to look at.
Yeah, I would hate that. That's why I never played it.
It's not a role-playing game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you spell Rolemaster?
Excuse me. Daryl Arrett has a game that we should all play.
3 type of attack. Yeah. 3 type of defense and several special maneuver.
There you go.
Yeah. There's
we found it.
Even total party skill also have like a different type of attack in theory.
Yeah, I guess because there's 3 different sort of health pools.
Not only that, but you can do like there's some difference if you do like a kick versus if you do a punch or a grapple.
Oh.
Yeah, but we never really played with it. What
did
we ever like did we ever have like a combat heavy game in TPS?
I mean, we shot guns.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we play a lot of combat heavy games, period.
Yeah.
Maybe the one dungeon crawl on Easy 6.
Yes, and the one in the space pirate
Traveler, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, look, there's like a attack type, fist, punch, and kick, and throw rock. Throw rock? What the fuck? But okay, so you can kick and you can punch, and they do the same thing finally. I don't know why like there's 2 different type of attack. There's no difference. But they're listed as different type of attack.
Yeah.
So does that count for something?
It's totally different now.
Yeah. Whatever. I thought they had different effect.
Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
But in Dune, you can do dueling and skirmish. These are the different conflict types.
Yeah.
Espionage, warfare, which is like large scale, intrigue, which is like social environment stuff. So that's just role playing with roles. I thought there was an assassination, but there doesn't seem to be.
Yeah. But like it's like
probably just part of espionage.
Because you could try to have like a series of mini game with board game-ish mechanics that are kind of tied together with some kind of like narrative, I guess.
Yeah, but there's no way you can 4D it.
But is that what you're looking for?
The idea of having like a board game with
role a board game,
basically what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
that's basically what I'm talking about. I don't know if I'm looking for it. I'm just curious to see if it would be good or not. It's really It's more of a curiosity.
Yeah.
Because I play a lot of board games, and I find them limited in that, you're stuck in this sort of abstracted version of the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a role playing game, you get to get as deep into a theme as you want.
But how do you also like the thing that in board game usually like it's you're trying to win, right?
You're
So
trying to win, yeah.
this goal in itself required to have more defined rules and more
I don't
defined boundaries.
know that is true, actually. There's plenty of board games where winning isn't really the goal, I would say. There's a board game I have called Android, which is like the most ridiculous game. It's not a good board game. I guess the problem
So
is it's not a good board game because like
could that
winning is so strange.
yeah
So maybe it's kind of the exception that proves the rule, but
maybe it's kind of the problem with the board game.
yeah.
There's no
But
like
like
clear win
you get
condition.
to I have another one that's like Agents of Smersh.
I never
I
heard
guess
of
the
this
goal
one.
on that is to win too. But there's like narrative board games where like you're uncovering the story. There's other board games where it's like where like when you win, it's like, okay, I guess I won that. We can move on. It's basically just fun as the goal. That isn't a lot of board games, I would say. Not a majority. I would say winning is pretty regularly the goal.
Yeah,
But I would it's
there's a lot of board game that you don't really care if you won or not, right? Just like
yeah.
because you had fun during the journey. But there you still have a goal of winning to direct what you do, right? That's how you. That's it. The goal of winning, like the win condition, is a
Mhm.
way to direct the player's choice. Unless you just want to derail the game or something, like sometime in Risk, when you know you're not gonna win, so you're just gonna try to
Just gonna
screw
be
with
a
other
kingmaker,
people,
like an
right? Yeah,
asshole.
yeah. Or you could play a board game and just try to be funny and do random shit that make no sense and make everybody mad at the table. Yeah, you could have
Yeah,
fun, but everybody
everyone
will
will
be
hate
annoyed.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone hates that.
yeah.
But I don't know. That's I mean, like you're right. That shouldn't be the goal of the game I'm talking about, right? Or should it? Because it's going to be cooperative.
Yeah. Well, you can have like you can have like a cooperative game like of beating, there's a lot of like zombie side that we mentioned earlier. It's a cooperative game. You all
I would say
win or lose
that's
together.
I would say that's
But
pretty common in like a 2D role playing game. Is like you're trying to overcome encounters and win cooperatively. Not that that's good. I'm just saying
but
it's like
yes, and
a pretty common way to play.
that's why some game came up with like the challenge rating and stuff like that, and way to,
Hmm.
or even like the table that you roll randomly, like way to make it like fair and not
Uh-huh.
just part of the GM fiat, because you have this problem. Like that's what I'm saying. Like when you have like when you have a goal for the player to win, right? You need to have some more firm structure for it to be fair, because the GM otherwise can always like add shit as much as you want, right? Just like, oh,
But
there's reinforcement coming up.
if there's no end of the game, can you win it? You know what I mean?
You can be
You
in
can
the sense
win the
you
day.
can be winning, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
playing like a lot of like Mountain Blade Warband. Like there's basically no end to that game, right? I guess if you conquer
Right.
the whole fucking map, but like good luck, right? Uh, but I can have this sense that I am winning throughout the game, right? Because I'm making
Uh,
progress and stuff like that.
but what's your goal? Is it to
Uh,
win?
yeah, to conquer.
But you know it's impossible to win. So why would your
Well,
goal be to win?
it's to see how far I can make it.
Right.
It's the same thing
There you
when I
go.
go kayaking,
That's what I'm saying.
to see how far I can make it.
Yeah.
But there's a strict sets of rules, right? That I'm fighting against.
Yeah.
if you have like a when you have a GM that can just make up stuff on the fly
Well,
and
as
always
long as
decide to move the difficulty, right?
the GM has to keep the verisimilitude, like you said.
Yeah.
He just makes things that could be possible if this was a real situation. He makes those things possible. He doesn't make it so that I'm just gonna make it so that my guys have fun.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
there you
not
go.
really the goal.
Conway's making a very important point here. Warband is still better than Bannerlord. That's very true.
Yeah, is Bannerlord 2? Mountain Blade 2.
What?
Is Bannerlord Mountain Blade 2?
Well, technically it would be Mountain Blade 3, I guess.
Okay.
Because there's Mountain Blade Warband, and Mountain Blade Bannerlord.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think they call it Mountain Blade 2 because they consider Warband. I don't know. It's
The
weird.
first.
Well, it's because it's the same. It's like a standalone expansion, basically, right? So anyway, but
Anyways, I think that the goal is let's have a good time in Dune and build our house up and all this stuff. People play Skyrim, and when they win it, they're like, okay, well, I'm still playing. I'm not going to stop playing just because I won.
Skyrim is a weird one. I don't know why people do that. That's very escapism. That's the goal of people there. You don't want to win. You don't want to win Skyrim. You just want to escape in that world.
I mean, what did you? You're playing Banner or whatever Warband.
What I play
You
Warband?
can't win. It's impossible for you to win.
I win some. I make some progress.
Well,
I win some. I win some fights.
Some dungeons.
Yeah, I win some fights, and I conquer some castle. I grow, and at some point I grow my own kingdom.
Sure.
And I don't conquer the whole map, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And then at some point you're like, I did it. I won.
Yeah.
Let's close it up.
Oh, there you go. Like Zonalard said, like I said, I posted like 2.5 role play session for BattleTech on the Discord. BattleTech would be an interesting one.
Look at Zonalar stealing my idea.
Yeah, there's been BattleTech board game and war game and BattleTech role playing game. Could you mix both? Would that be like the prime candidate for that?
Yeah, they got Mech Warrior.
Yeah, you play like those BattleTech role playing, or you could do that with the Warhammer too. You could play like with the Warhammer role play, and at some point you just like bring in the miniature and you do that.
I guess you could. What's the name of the skirmish game for? It's Kill Team. Yeah. So you could have like your group as the kill team.
I guess.
Who's
but you would need to have like one. If you have more than one player.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the rules are already there to play it in the role playing game, and the rules are there. Yeah, or you could play Kill Team and role play with your guys, but I'm more talking about using a heavy role playing game with weird gamey systems and enjoying those systems.
Yeah,
because they're not meant to be. They're not meant. It's not meant to be like a real role playing game.
Like would that be going too far, right? Like we role play in the world of BattleTech, right? And we're a mercenary group, and at some point, like we do those negotiation and this political intrigue between the different house, and at some point we need to go fight, and then we're jumping our mech, and we're on a planet fighting, and then like we resolve that with the BattleTech miniature game.
I guess. I mean, if you want.
But would that be like in the kind of idea that you're thinking about?
No, I'd probably do would it be? Maybe. It's certainly adjacent. I don't have a very I don't know if what I'm talking about would even work. I'm just saying, like, I'm wondering if role playing games could do what I'm talking about. If it could make a really good role playing or a really good board game. So I'm talking about taking a role playing game and turning it into a board game because that's how it's designed. Because people design role playing games without role playing in mind.
Yeah.
But they still have all the elements of like cool elements of a role playing game where it's like there's no rails. You can do whatever you want. There's no like end. There's no victory. It's just like we're developing.
But that's where I get confused because like then like because you have like some, you know, when you play like a game like Zombicide, right? You're kind of close to and some other games like are even closer, but you're kind of close to the role playing combat game in a sense, right? If somebody were playing like on the tabletop, like on a battle map, a board game, a role playing game with this board game like combat as well designed, it could be very close to something like Zombicide, right?
Yeah.
You have those hit point, you have those level, you have those power you can do, you have equipment you can equip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you move your figure in on the map. You have rules for movement and shit.
Do you have stats?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure that
So
there's crossover on that side of things.
yeah.
But can I run off the map and go into the river and cover myself in mud and hide from the zombies?
Well, there's no rules for that,
Right.
but it wouldn't be that big of a stretch because the maps they're tiles, right? Because
So
it's a
something
board
like
game.
that would require like a GM, in my opinion. Right.
So if you were just like,
I'm sure that you can turn a board game into a role playing game. Like I'm
yeah,
not saying that's impossible,
yeah,
and I'm not saying you have to use VTTs and all that shit. I'm not
because
saying
that's
there
the
has
thing.
to
Like,
be. I'm not saying there has to be a tabletop presence where there's miniatures and stuff. I'm just saying that use systems and let me try to think about it. Allow yourself to take advantage of like a GM and the lack of restrictions as to what you can do and just do whatever you want, but enjoy the system, like do it within a system that
so,
is going to require some kind of out of character like discussion or something. You know what I mean? I'm just saying like
yeah,
things that you can't do as a 4D game because the system's too heavy. Like it's basically a board game. And if you treat it like a board game with a GM, then you can have yourself a really fun time as a
okay,
board
yeah,
with a board game. That's
yeah.
basically what I'm saying.
I get what you mean. Basically, yeah, I get what you mean. It makes sense. Basically, you want like you would like to have role playing game with interesting mechanics to interact with.
Yeah. And I don't mind if you have to go out of character to discuss a really intricate mechanic that has like that is interesting because it's a really well designed board game mechanic. Like
Yeah,
I
because
want
those
that.
because I like board game. I like board game that have like mechanic that sometimes can be like a little more complex, and then you have to interact with them, and they're interesting to interact with for the complexity, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah,
Whereas in
that and
4D, in a
yes,
4D game, we try to avoid those as much as possible because it's such a immersion
yeah,
breaking like
yeah,
nightmare
yeah.
where we have to talk we have to actually talk to each other for God's sakes. Like,
Well, it's because like it bring you back in your own
no,
mind, and
yeah,
right,
no, I
and
get
those
it. Of course I
mechanics
get it.
they like deep mechanics can be interesting because they trigger like, they because they use a different part of your brain, right? They use a like a
Yeah,
more logical and
right.
if you have somebody like with just like the Warhammer name, like we're talking about Warhammer, just so you know,
Warhammer
Warhammer
40K
40k
Dark
Dark
Heresy.
Heresy, Knight of Escallion.
Oh, I know what
It's
he
very
likes.
on point. Yeah, we know what you like. Exactly. It's clear about what you like. I ran my Dark Heresy game combat last week, and it was shit, as you say, despite being a good RP situation. So how do I fix combat? The RP sections are great, and I do want some form of combat.
Well,
That's
I would
that's
say that's
basically what I'm trying to figure
I
out.
would say that's a very good candidate for what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Whereas, like, if the combat is very involved and there's a lot of negotiation and like, resource maneuvering. I don't know what the fuck's going on in Dark Heresy, so
yeah. I don't know the system either.
I don't know the system. But if that's what's going on, can you detach yourself and
Yeah.
play this board game that you have in front of you all of a sudden?
Because one of the reasons don't like battle map in role playing game is because of this side that it takes you outside of your character, and now you're seeing the battlefield from up high as a third person observer, omniscient. Basically, you have this perfect information, right, of what's happening.
Yeah.
And for me, already that's breaking immersion, right? But we say,
Yeah.
okay, now what if the goal was not immersion? Yes, I could enjoy this grid map battle skirmish thing mini game. I could
Mhm.
enjoy that if it was well designed. That can be fun.
Yeah. And I could like still half immerse myself. Like I'm not incapable of pretending like I'm in the Dark Heresy situation. I played lots of board games and I like do that regularly. I don't know.
But
Like my
is that
kaiju guy is punching your kaiju guy. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm
is that
blasting him with a bunch of fire. Yeah.
is that like
It's not as immersive as 4D, obviously.
is that like trying to eat chips and ice cream at the same time?
I want to eat chips and ice cream at the same time. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes. Okay, I'm not in like I like even though I can enjoy both.
There is a like Ben and Jerry's with potato chips and ice cream, but it's pretty good. When
I
I
don't
was
believe it.
when I was being a fatty, love that shit. Now I'm a recovering fatty.
Yeah.
10-year running campaign, by the way. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
realizing combat is shit. We have 10 times more fun when we just roleplay. Yeah.
Yeah.
If the combat is shit, it's because that's what I'm saying. Like, if the game put a lot of time into these systems and treated it like a board game, which
Yep.
is what they do sometimes, it might actually be fun as a board game.
Mhm.
You know?
If you were into the role playing thing, I have a video on this channel called how to speed up combat, something like that, where I go against I through some idea like to make combat more dynamic in sense, right? Which are not the usual idea that you hear about. And I think that making combat more punchy and more roleplay friendly, that might help if you want to watch that.
Combat is when the rules are light, it's so much fun in 4D. I think.
Yeah,
I really enjoy combat,
yeah, me too.
which
I,
is
I enjoy
weird.
it.
I
I
never
enjoy
thought
the
I would like
fun
role playing game combat.
when it's fast, when it's dynamic, it's moving,
When it's
it's
in character.
chaotic. Yeah,
When it's in character, that's what's
in
most important.
character.
When the emotion is there, just like you said, because it's like tense and
Yeah,
there's bullets whizzing by my head. I need to get the fuck out of here.
yeah. Yeah, this like the combat against the fish monster that you mentioned earlier, right? That was
And
very
the
scene.
traveler game, the heist game,
Yes.
when we're
Yeah.
in that like big firefight,
Yeah.
and then someone decided to, and someone blew a hole into the ship or whatever. That was crazy.
Yeah.
And like the part where we're in the cafeteria and
You were
that
there,
part
yeah.
was crazy. Yeah.
Putting putting on your face.
I was getting a riot going.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I get I think I get what you're trying to do.
Basically what I'm saying, I think I have because I don't really have a good formulated idea about it because I was going to make a video about it. There are games out there like Axe 2, like
Yep.
Dune, that have these really cool systems in them that are totally worthless to us.
Yes.
We're never going to want to play with them. But if you treat it like a board game that is totally open, which is basically what these types of role-playing games say role-playing is, you know, think about a board game, except you can do whatever you want. Like, I feel like I've read that in a preface before, you know what I mean? Like, I think Palladium says that shit. But yeah, just if you treat it like a board game and you bring in 4D role players with social contract and stuff, you can elevate that too into like a really dope ass board game. Anyways, because those systems seem awesome. I want to play with them. I want to play with
Huh? Are they that awesome? Those systems, are they really awesome?
Yeah, the idea of like in Dune, well, I've been reading the Dune role-playing game. This idea of like assets and like it's almost like a worker placement game. Seems cool to me. Worker placement game with some dice rolls. It's like some role-playing elements.
So would that be like very like, oh, like, you know, now we're in this role-playing game and all of a sudden like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing, and now like we kind of zoom out and solve it with this little mini game, and then we get the resolution. It's basically like, instead of just doing like a dice roll to get the resolution, now you have like those
everyone takes like
that
turns. Yeah, it's like a board game, right? So everyone's taking their turns, moving their little pawns around, and I'm taking my GM turn.
And it's collaborative.
As much as like a board game is collaborative. I don't quite understand what your question is.
Cooperative, I mean, like it's like
everyone's role playing their people, so
you decide
either their main character or their secondary characters. So like if you're playing a character that would have nothing to do with this like espionage conflict, then you can generate like a minor character that would be involved.
Because yeah, I can see like those systems could be fun.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's like I think my OBS is fucking up because it's like persistent.
Yeah. But like, yeah, like I told you, for me, like it feel a bit like trying to jam two things together that I might think might not go together. But like you said, like some people would love that. Like some people do want to eat chips and ice cream together, apparently.
I'm just real quick going to end my stream, y'all. So come over to Max's if you're watching on mine, because OBS is being a bitch.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're sending to Rumble and they don't like it.
They don't like it.
No, you shouldn't stream to Rumble. They're mean. That's a real thing, by the way, for people watching at home. Yeah.
Rumble racist.
Yeah,
it's true. But now I get to maximize everything. But I wish I could pop out the comment section of StreamYard.
I don't know how to do that. You can get it on OBS, I think. Anyway. But could be an interesting experiment.
It's an experiment. I don't know if it'll work. But basically I want to run a Dune game and I want to take advantage of the rules as written in it. Play these stupid little mini games that it talks about. Why? Because I want to play Dune, like the board game. And I want to role play as a Bene Gesserit, not as Bene Gesserit, because that's a lady.
Oh, we're losing Phil. We lost Phil. Hopefully he's going to be able to come back. I always had like a reticence of like, although like I love Dune, the first book, I don't like the rest. And I love the David Lynch movie. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Sorry. StreamYard
Yeah.
does hate Rumble.
Oh, really?
I guess so. It said, "Hey,
You're going in the corner and
yeah,
you didn't finish.
you go back to restream, buddy."
Yeah.
What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, like I want to play a game of Dune.
Yeah. Why?
Why? Because I think it's one of the most badass sci-fi universes out there. I like the idea of the Trade Guild or whatever they're called, and
Yeah. Navigator Guild.
and the Bene Gesserits are awesome. I like the idea of like millennia long plans coming to fruition, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
cool.
if I'm exaggerating, but the idea of like the emperor and these houses.
Yeah. Well, you know why it's cool? Feudalism.
It's feudalism.
Feudalism. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a secret monarchist.
Well, no, it's because like feudalism is the natural way of human organization. So when
It's
we see like
natural,
setting like
guys.
that, it's oh, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's how we're meant to be. That's how we're meant to live.
Just look at how Harkonnen societies
Yeah.
is organized. It's just natural.
Yeah.
Shit. And look at this cool ass book. I want to put it on my coffee table.
I don't know if I did. They use like art inspired by the new fucking movie?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's kind of its own thing.
Have you seen the MMO there? You're talking about the Dune MMO?
Yeah. It's gonna come out in like a couple days, I think.
You can play like a female mentat.
I don't know. I think that you don't really play anything. It's just like you were trained by mentat, or you were trained by.
I don't know,
because you can be all of them.
Maybe female mentat NPCs, right? Just like some shit like that.
Is that?
But there was female mentat.
Is that
yeah,
non-canonical?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they're doing like I don't know if they're gonna do male Bene Gesserit or whatever. But
you can be trained by the Bene Gesserit as a man,
like Paul was.
He was, yeah.
But you're not supposed to. That was a big.
And they say that right away. They're like, you're not supposed to be trained.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, you're not supposed to be trained.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. Yeah. I'm probably gonna play. I don't have time for it anymore.
Yeah, I don't really have time to play it either. I might try it out for a few hours.
So that would be like kind of like a domain play kind of game too, right?
Yeah. So we should talk about 4D domain play. What does that look like? Because really, the most I think we've talked about this before. The most interesting part of domain play is role playing as someone who runs a domain. You know, the diplomacy
as you run it,
of it,
or like are you all the players each running their own domain
in the Dune game?
No, in a domain play, in 4D domain play.
I would say no. It's just like heads the aristocracy, right, or whatever.
You're just doing like basically the small console, right?
Small console, yeah. Or everyone's running a domain. I don't know. Can you do that? That was another thing I've done before. Was like we just kind of invented our own. It was really weird, actually. It was like we just invented our own game once. Like I was the leader of some empire, and another friend of mine was the leader of an empire. Another friend of mine. We would just like do this like weird. I don't even know what we were doing. It's like weird negotiation stuff, and there was a GM. Anyways, there was like galactic threats involved.
Yeah, that's basically like what the original Braunstein is.
Where everyone's running an army.
Well, it was just like everybody has a kingdom, and they were just like doing those treaty and those negotiations. There was barely any mechanics. The GM would just like adjudicate.
A friend of mine, his brother was a part of this, like, and this was like in the 90s, was he was in this group of people who there's like this map, this hex map, and people would like run kingdoms,
Mm-hmm.
and they would like send letters. It was all by mail. And they would like send letters out,
Yeah,
to like set up diplomatic things and say where their armies are going and all that shit. It's not really
yeah.
interesting.
That's
Is that
something I don't want
Braunstein?
to do. Brownstein do a lot of those things. Like, well, at least the modern one, they do a lot of like a play by post, right? Just like in between sessions, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's something I really don't want to do. Yeah,
World of Darkness games are good at that too.
yeah, but I hate it. I
Yeah.
don't want like my whole life to be around that, right? Just like I'm busy. I don't have time
Yeah.
to reply to your fucking email and be on a Discord group. Like now, like I'm not there. I'm not online. I'm not in front of
Yeah.
a computer for a day, and I come back and there's like fucking 47 fucking unread message. I'm just gonna fucking not read all that.
Yeah. I think that's the move. Just come in and be like, tits, and then like, peace out.
Yeah. I don't know. So
Do you feel
okay,
like we have answered the question of why we role play?
I think we answered the question of why we all play, and I think we
I'm
did explore a bit.
curious to explore why you role play, because I don't know that I would say that I role play for the reasons you role play. So I'm curious to try it out, see if your objectives make better satisfaction. I don't know,
if you get
higher
something from it.
utility.
I don't know if you're that far from it, right? I think you maybe
I
just
don't know
not
if I am
realize
either.
it.
I don't see it in the same way. Maybe
Yeah,
that's it.
you don't verbalize it the same.
Nah, I don't verbalize. I don't talk good.
I'm not the one to talk.
Yeah.
But and I don't know if we answered your question about like like I think it was an interesting conversation about like the difference and the conflicting goal between the board game and the role playing and stuff like that. I don't think we answered the question if we could kind of mix both. It'd probably be like we need to try through it.
I agree.
And like to see if it works, and then have a talk about it, like what we got from the experience. Did mixing the two, was it worth it? Would have been better like keeping the two separate, right, and really immersing yourself in
The real problem is that it fucking takes so much preparation. Like these games are so, because it's like a board game. If you start getting past 10 pages of rules, it's a badly designed board game almost. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you're talking about these games. I mean, freaking,
yeah,
I gotta read all this shit. What the fuck?
And then you have to explain everything to the player,
And then I gotta have a mastery. Yeah.
Then they're not gonna fucking remember. So now during the session, we're gonna stop a bit, and we're gonna go over the rules of that thing.
I'm reinventing all the problems with 2D now.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it is something.
Probably a big waste of time.
Maybe there's something to be seen there. Like, can we make 2D actually good? Maybe there's a question to be asked, right?
Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
Isn't that what you're trying to do?
I don't know. I like to think that 2D is not good, and that I'm trying to that all good types of games are elevated 2D games. Anytime someone's enjoying a game, it's not 2D. Anytime someone's having a good time, they're not playing a 2D game.
I don't think that's fair. I think you can have like a good time playing a 2D game, and I think that could be like you could achieve like the peak 2D, right? You could
Yeah.
like in different way, right? Somebody like that, like very good at doing the voice acting and the story, and you're there on the railroad, but it's a
Yeah.
very good story, and you're
Yeah.
very glad that you're being told
That's
this
what I'm
story
saying.
by
Like
this guy who can do
this
the
idea of
critical role, right?
peak
Yeah,
2D
yeah,
implies that you're doing an elevated 2D.
yeah.
So that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
yeah,
Like, a normal 2D game is bad.
yeah,
And no one's enjoying.
yeah.
Anyone who's playing a normal 2D game personally is not having a good time.
But like I said, I think oftentimes the 2D game do have like conflicting goals between the players and the GM.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's
because
an
the GM is
inherent
not
problem.
playing. Like I guess the 2D GM could be having a good time. They're probably enjoying it.
Like
Or they hate it.
guy, the guy that do the pack tactic kind of fucking. You remember like
My dog's like running in his sleep.
the pack tactic guy.
Is he
I
the
made a
Cobalt guy?
yes. I
Okay, yeah.
reacted to. Were you on when we reacted on this marathon about this video
I
with
think
the
I was on that
27
one.
time deadly encounter? Right. This guy is a player in this 2D game,
Uh-huh.
and he's having a blast interacting with those mechanics and trying to like do those build or like this guy like what is fucking guy like Trent Monk, like he always do like
Jalen.
those character build.
Right.
I'm sure he's having fun like interacting with those mechanics and trying to make the most optimal build, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Because he's trying his best, isn't he?
yeah,
He's just trying
and
his
and
best.
while he's trying his best
He's
and
made it. He's finally found a way to turn it into a hobby
and
by
yeah,
not
is
by.
better at it than others, right? Is like he achieves
Uh,
some kind of like gratification from that, I assume, right?
mhm. But the idea is that he is. My point is that he is like doing something beyond what is expected as a 2D player. You know what I mean? By finding those best builds and embracing the mechanics of the shitty combat in D&D.
What is
Trying
expected
to
of a 2D player? Just show up, roll your
pretty
dice when you
much,
ask.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Why
kind
is
of
that
know what I'm
what's
doing. All right.
that's what expected for a 2D player by the GM that wanted to tell the story, you know?
Yep.
Like it's expected like the GM like there's this expectation of the GM that is gonna do this prep and have all this encounter ready and the scenario and stuff like that. It needs to have encounter ready because like the players
Be
need
like,
to play at some point, right? So
it's gonna be
that's
like,
gonna be
oh, I'm doing my spirit. I forgot the names of these things that people use to maximize. There's like something where like the cleric uses spirits and it like it's like
yeah, I know
AoE.
what you got. I forgot the name. Dancing Blades.
Yeah, and then
I
the
forgot.
GM's like, I don't let people use that. It's too strong.
But my build.
But my build.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're still having fun if you don't use that build, right? I'm not. I
Just
only
interact with
like
the story
I
that I'm
only
telling
like the
you.
game when my numbers are big.
Yeah. Just why don't you just interact with the story I'm telling you?
But don't you see how that ruins the story I'm telling you?
If you're too strong, you're gonna beat the
It's
bad
strong.
guys
Yeah.
too fast.
Don't worry. I made a guy who's with you who also has that ability, and he's gonna be really good. So maybe it's a hot take, but I think anyone who's playing as a 2D player and not trying to go beyond is having a terrible time. They're not enjoying.
Well,
They're trapped.
because I think like even like you call them elevated, I call it peak, right? I think people that play 2D and take it very seriously
Yeah.
and they find their fun in that, right? Like
Yeah, you're right. I see your point, and I am a little bit redefining what 2D
Yeah,
is
and
by saying what I'm saying.
they're still playing 2D. Yes,
Mm.
I could say yeah, I could agree, like it's elevated because they added some kind of like other dimension to it in a
Build
sense, right?
maximization.
Yeah. Yeah. They say like, well, okay, 2D is kind of sucks, but we're doing 2D with this thing on top of it,
Yeah.
or I'm fine, like I'm focusing on this element of the game
Yeah.
very much so, right? And that's where I'm finding my fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'm making dick and fart jokes. That's why I'm having a good time.
Well, then you'd fall back into the 1D, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like,
A 2D player does as they're told, and
do you
doesn't.
think that the players in Matt
They
Mercer
want to
game,
be
do
a
you think?
they want to be a group player.
Yeah,
They're a team player.
yeah,
They're trying to make sure that the
yeah,
GM story goes off without a hitch.
yeah. They see a hook dangle, doesn't need to have much
Mhm.
bait on it. They're gonna bite because, well, the GM's putting the hook there.
Yeah. I used
But do you
to
think?
I used to go to like this werewolf LARP, and it's just joke that happened where it was like someone was like, there's like some note or something, and a guy pulls it out of the guy's pocket, and he's like, I think we need to go here because otherwise I don't think there's gonna be any plot. It's like meta joke that he did in character. It was the funniest thing ever. And we were like, yeah, because we're good 2D players.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? But like,
Yeah.
do you think that those guys that play in Matt Mercer's game, do you think they have fun?
Yeah, I think that they're enjoying it. Matt Mercer is a really good 2D GM. Like he's
Hmm.
probably one of the best ones there is.
Because he can sell the story in a
He's a
sense, right?
very good
Because he,
storyteller. That's right.
yeah, you make the
He's
voice. He's fun to listen to.
he masters all of the shitty advice that people say. So like he can make it seem like there's a false choice really well.
Yeah.
But also I've never watched Critical Role, so I'm talking out of my ass, but I feel like they're voice actors, so they probably get a chance to role play once in a while. Like dialogue between each other, right?
Yeah, they like I don't know if I would say they role play because like I don't know if they make the decision in the mindset of the character, right? They get to talk in character,
Right.
but I don't know if they think in character, right?
Right.
Much.
Sometime,
I
they're
guess.
still shopping their action to the GM.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they always ask, oh, what if I would do that, or can they're always asking those questions. But
Yeah.
and they and they always know to jump on the plot hook,
The
right?
only
Like,
reason I don't like to shit on Matt Mercer is because what's his name? What is wrong with me not knowing this guy's name? Oh, RPG is dumb.
yeah,
I was a real big Mercer fan. And it's
yeah.
like I really liked his videos before I found the 4D.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not like I'm not saying I'm not trying to shit on Matt Mercer. I'm just like
Yeah,
saying
but he
like
gets a
that.
lot of shit.
Their peak 2D, right?
Yeah,
I
they're
also would call
peak
like peak
2D.
2D in, well,
And
peak one form of 2D.
there's a lot of friends. There's a lot of seems like there's a lot of friendship between the
Yeah.
players there, so and they make
Well,
money.
yeah, but
I'm
they're
sure they
actor though,
enjoy
so
working
you don't know if it's
and
real or
making
fake.
money. Well, some are married, right?
Some of them are married. Some of them are. I'm not gonna go there.
I don't know where you're going because I don't know what the fuck's going on.
No,
But
never mind.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, there's, well, Matt Mercer and his wife, and Laura Bailey and her husband, and
Her husband.
Sam Riegel and his husband. A few couples, but anyway,
Might need to wrap it up here, buddy.
yeah, I think we're about the end there.
Cool.
There will need to be a follow up to this in some form. something, right? So I'm just gonna say thank you to for you to join me for this conversation. I hope that was interesting or helpful to some people out there. And thank you for people that join us live. I'm sorry if I didn't pay so much attention to the chat. I was entranced by this conversation with Phil, trying to figure, like, actually trying to figure something out.
I gotta go. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, I'm wrapping it away. Oh yeah, I heard somebody cried in the background. And thank you for everybody that's gonna watch on the replay later on. And let me know in the comments down below. Sometimes I'm not super good at replying to the comments. I read them all though. And I'll get it first. Max is entranced by Phil. Yeah. By this conversation. Mercer wives ruins any positive aspect of CR. Oh wow, shot fire. I don't know, like I didn't know like Marissa was disliked that much. I'm not an expert on the topic, so anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up now. I'm gonna be. I don't know when I'm gonna be back. To be honest, I think Saturday we have this game with Conway and Zonalar and Nicholas and Yakrep, the orc game that we mentioned earlier. So you can look up for that. That's Saturday, right? At 2 p.m. Eastern. Other than that, there's some other topic I might want to touch, but they might not be ready. So I'll be back when I have something to tell you that's interesting. I think I'm trying not to produce slop, guys. So have a good night, and I see you when I see you. Bye.